his hand, don't be mistaken. I believe in peace, but I won't be taken. I will not submit to authority of man. I'm ready to die, but not for a lie. See the signs appear, it's gonna happen here.
This is Liberty Underground with Alex Snitker and Adrian Wiley on the 1787 Radio Network.
Well, good morning, Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg, Clearwater, the entire state of Idaho, Moscow, Russia, the whole country of Uruguay, one of my favorite countries that's out there, Uruguay.
Yeah, very nice.
And streaming live worldwide, this is Alex, co-host, Liberty Underground, along with me. She is Hernando County's favorite, most loved libertarian, along with Orange County. And a woman that, when the end comes, and they're beginning to round us all up, that will more than likely be arguing back and forth with them about why they're not supposed to be doing this, and they will more than likely shoot her at that point. Danielle Alexandra, good morning.
Good morning.
Are you doing well?
I'm doing all right.
That's good. That's very good to hear. I'm glad you're doing well. And I hope that that doesn't happen, by the way, what I just described.
Thank you.
But I'm just saying, if you argue with them at that point, they're going to shoot you.
Yeah.
Am I being detained?
I don't think that
It might be
stop
worth
me.
it at that point. Just
I don't
to get
think
shot,
it'll
but-
stop because I think they're gonna kill me anyways. So I don't think that I don't think I have it in me to not argue if someone's doing something wrong.
Okay. All right. That's fair enough. Fair enough. Also in studio, he's known as Libertarian Greg, also Knobs, also Tiger, also Schnugens. Greg, how you doing this morning, sir?
Oh, good. Running a little late, but
That's
other than
okay.
that, I'm all right.
It could be worse. At least your computer's not frozen.
Yeah, that would be really bad.
Yeah, that would be really, really bad.
Well,
right
no
now.
one would be hearing us right now if Greg's computer was frozen.
Yeah.
Yeah, these kind of need to work for this to happen.
Yeah, these do kind of need to work in order for that to happen. How are you doing, sir?
Great.
Great. He's
Great.
You know, Greg is still in hurry mode, where
Yeah.
everything's great. Yep. Doing
He's
good.
like
We're
going
finally
really
going.
fast. Go ahead, just keep talking. All right. Yeah. Hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, I'm Greg. How are you doing? I'm Greg.
When 10 minutes ago, I had my foot to the floor in my car trying to make sure I got here in time.
Okay,
so-
because you came about 4 minutes before we went on air, and so we didn't get to ask what happened.
Oh, to me this morning?
Yeah.
I woke up late and then got out of the house late, and I was just running really behind. And then of course, you get on US 19, and you've got everybody that thinks they need to go 10 miles an hour under the speed limit in the left lane. So, yeah.
And then you get boxed in behind. It's I always find the best traffic situation when I have plenty of time.
Exactly.
When I'm like, oh, you know what, we need to leave early so that we don't get stuck in traffic. We end up at a place like an hour before we have to be there because the traffic just wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever we leave right on time or late, it seems like everyone pulls in front of you and decides that they're not going to move.
The whole world's against us, dude. I swear to God.
So I do know how you feel because I've had that happen before. But it is good that you came in because what I realized by you being so late is that I don't know how any of that works. I don't even know what program to open to even try to see if I could get it to work.
I was sitting at the light at 54 in Madison, looking at the clock and knowing how close I am to it. And I'm like, I bet Danielle's in there freaking out right now trying to figure this all
Yes,
out.
I started calling whatever. I don't even know if because the number that I have may not even work for you because it was doing some crazy thing on my phone.
Right.
So I'm like, I can't get a hold of him. I don't even know if this is the right number. It just keeps disconnecting. I don't know what's happening. And so I was worried about that.
Happening.
Yeah. Keep making fun of me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You are within arm's reach of her.
Yeah.
She can't slap you.
Right. Because you were absolutely zero help this morning as you slept until the last minute. So I got to do all the show prep, worry about Greg, and try to see if I could get the computers on and maybe look at something all on my own as Greg was not here and Alex was sleeping.
Wow.
Wow. You had a lot going on, didn't you?
Poor thing.
Well, we were up till really late because we were at an event up at North Florida.
Okay, well, we were.
Whoa.
And now no one can see us
Yeah.
because Greg knocked the camera.
Wow. Is that all right, dude?
We're good.
Everything good? All right.
No, we were. I had to do show prep earlier this morning because we actually were in at about 1 because of we had a. Well, you had. It was actually not a campaign event. It was like kind of a joint event with you presenting the book, our book, and then also Adrian speaking. So it was definitely a long night. Although we still got in at 1, but that is not when you went to sleep.
Yeah, I went to sleep at 3.
Right.
3 and some change.
Yeah, that's about what happened with me. That's why I was so late.
All right. There you go. There you go. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody's doing very well. We're going to go and just start right off with everybody's favorite subject, Obamacare.
And I know we're getting so tired of hearing about it. And, but there's just, it's just more and more. And I don't know if you guys have seen this, but this is really what I would like to go to because it's the most entertaining thing to talk about here. But have you seen the that they're going to put out?
Oh, yes. That's actually from the Colorado Healthcare Exchange.
And I actually, and this was the headline. This is in the Independent Journal. It says 11 Obamacare ads so desperate, only pathetic losers think they're cool. I actually looked at it and said, these ads are so outrageous. I didn't think they were real.
Me either.
I thought they were fake.
Somebody sent me one of them, and I thought they were fake too. And I had to look it up to confirm. And then I found the actual Colorado Healthcare Exchange website with all the ads on it, and I'm like, oh my god.
Oh my God, Becky,
God.
look at this Obamacare ad. It's so lame.
Totally.
They're so outrageous.
I went Valley Girl completely.
And
That's okay.
and we have to share this out, but some of them, and this was like not only was it the most outrageous to me, but it actually made me angry because it goes into the whole, they're doing a spoof on the Got Milk ads where it just says, where it used to, you'd see Got Milk and there'd be a question mark and it's the big white background and you have someone there with the milk mustache or something.
Yeah.
Well, this is a play on that. And the one that I found the most outrageous because it says Got Insurance, but it's 2 guys holding up another guy who's sucking beer out of a beer keg.
Yeah, the keg stand.
And it says Rosurance. Keg stands are crazy. Not having health insurance is crazier. Don't tap into your beer money to cover those medical bills. We've got you covered.
We've got it covered.
We've got it covered. Or we got it covered. It's not even good English. The grammar is horrible. But that actually made me really mad. Don't cut into your beer money. Just tell everybody else to pay for your health insurance.
Yeah. You pay for your beer. I got your health insurance, bro.
Yeah, I got you covered.
How backwards is that?
I hate that one. And the other one I hate, I'm trying to get it pulled up and I'm lagging here because I got so much going on this computer. But the one, it's a picture of a guy and a girl. And it's about the contraception and
Yeah.
It's one that's. Can I read this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, please do.
Thank you. Let's get physical. OMG, he's hot. Let's hope he's as easy to get as this birth control. My health insurance covers the pill, which means all I have to worry about is getting him between the covers. I got insurance. Now you can too. Thanks, Obamacare.
Yeah, and
Wow.
that really upset me too. Oh, well, now everyone can be a whore because they have Obamacare.
Yeah, that's the one that disturbed me the most because I'm like, wait a minute. Is this really the message we need to send?
Is that what we want everyone to, it's, there's still, you have to kind of almost want to teach a little responsibility. If you look down each one of these ads, it is the most irresponsible health choices you could possibly make. They say that's okay. You can be a complete idiot with your health choices because everybody else is going to pay for you. And that is exactly, there's 11 ads and every single one of them says you can be a complete moron and then force everyone else to pay for your medical insurance.
See, I had a much, I don't want to say a different take on the ads, but the way I took the ads though, and maybe I'm getting older, so I'll have to say, because I'm not their target audience with this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not the person that
Obviously,
they're talking.
right.
They want to talk to here. These are like the Bright House ads. Like, I'm insulted. I'm insulted that these things are real. And if you're a person of this age, this is what the government thinks of you.
This is how stupid they think
Yeah,
you are.
this is how dumb they think you are.
No, this is how stupid they are trying to make you.
yeah.
The
Well, they think
education
they've-
system that you have gone through has got you to this point. They intentionally want you dumb.
Well, hold on. This is how far they think they've gone already.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they think it's working that well.
Yeah,
and they're not wrong.
Well, here's the thing. Nobody's signing up to this thing. Kids ain't the people they're targeting ain't signing up to this thing. They're trying to figure out a way to get them to sign up.
Well, yeah, the numbers have come out, which is why Obamacare has to be talked about again, is because they did actually put out the numbers. Now, and I'm just going to go into Florida because I could care less what's going on everywhere else. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just saying, like, we have to worry about our home. 3,500 Floridians enrolled for coverage under the ACA. Now, we don't have a state exchange. If you're gonna sign up for Obamacare, you have to do it through the federal exchange. 3,500 Floridians enrolled, but 300,000 lost insurance. So put that into proportion. 3,500 people got insurance that didn't, and 300,000 lost it.
Yeah. Only 296,500 to go to break even.
To break even, by the way.
To break even, to get everybody covered that was covered.
Right.
Yeah, that's not even to get the uninsured covered.
Right.
That's just to go back to the people that because of your stupid plan, has now lost their insurance.
Yeah.
Because you didn't deem it good enough. Or you were a lottery. What did that one not Rahm Emanuel, what's the other guy's name? There was one guy that basically called the health insurance that called healthy people like lottery winners.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, but
Lottery win. That's what they call. Again,
Yeah.
these people. I part of me.
and yet Janet Napolitano boatloads of federal money.
You know what? Part of me is happy they've done this.
Well, me too.
Part of me is like, you people have gone so far that nobody can seriously think you guys are anything but the biggest bunch of dumbasses in the entire planet. You people are stupid. I mean, not only are you stupid, you think everybody else is as stupid as you are, and that they're buying this shit. This is, I mean, it's, and then to come on and call people. I'm trying to pull it up right now because I saw it last night, but it was like 2 a.m. And I thought I saw it on Drudge, actually. But it was one of these things where it was just like I read the thing back and forth, and they were just... I have so much disdain for you people. I don't even know any way to say it. Like, you guys are... I don't know how you people have college degrees. You people are like, I'm from Harvard, I got a degree. You're a freaking moron.
It makes Harvard look like a dumb institution.
Honestly, people need to go to... here's the thing, go to Marchman. Go to Marchman. Go to Marchman, you'll get much better education there. You go to Harvard, they just dumb you down there.
Well, like all of these guys, and these all, went to prestigious schools, Harvard and Yale and Purdue and all these other schools. And it's like, I want my kids to not go there now.
Being from Indiana, I never thought I would hear anyone call Purdue prestigious.
No.
I'm kidding.
But it's actually a really, really well-rated school.
Yes.
And, and even Columbia University and things like that, these are really, not on the same league as Harvard or Yale, but they're still really, really, great schools, we would think. But
They're still churning out dumbasses.
when you have a kid, and we all have kids, and you think, oh man, they could go to Harvard or they could go to Yale or they could, be the next president. No, those guys are dummies. I hope you're smarter than that.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, all of our children will, be working in the private sector because they're going to be too smart to be
Be
politicians.
politicians.
Well, that is actually, there is a little bit of truth. I do think that we've met a lot of politicians, and a lot of them are pretty dumb.
And I'm sure you've met a lot of entrepreneurs as well who are very smart.
Oh, yeah.
And you look at guys like Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Richard Branson. I mean, how I would give so much money to get those kinds of people into office just to know that they're not a complete dumbass sitting there.
Right.
Because most of the time, the guys sitting in office are complete dumbasses. The thing is, those guys are too smart to run for office.
Right.
They know they're better than that.
And that's what it comes down to, and not even even sometimes in the private sector, because we've dealt with this before, just in work environments and stuff. And you deal with like these people from Harvard and things like that, and then you realize like you'll do these conference calls and stuff, and you're like, no, these people are really dumb. Like, even when you're dealing in the business sector and you listen to some of these guys from Harvard, it's like they have so much information that they don't know how to just do something.
Yeah.
Now, this is what I'm talking about here. You had a guy by the name of Jonathan Gruber from MIT, by the way. This is MIT.
Right.
I'm going to read you this exchange because it's so telling. Again, these people hate anybody that is even doing well. So if you stay healthy, they hate you.
Yeah.
They hate you. This guy literally hates people that want to stay healthy or that want to be healthy. So this Jonathan Gruber from MIT. Let's start with understanding that we're not talking about the vast majority of Americans. Now, this is people that got knocked off the system. You go, this law is leaving those with employers and with employer insurance, those with government insurance alone. So if you got your insurance through your employer or through through the government, they're going to leave you alone. It's all the people that got it themselves. We're talking about a small minority of Americans that buy insurance on their own through the individual market. Anything that says individual, this MIT son of a bitch hates. That's what it is. So Chuck Todd goes, still a jerk off, still millions of people. Gruber said, exactly. It's 12 million people, about a third of which will end. What happened?
His microphone.
My mic is dead again.
Damn.
And like I hear like your voice starting to get louder now, and I'm like, great, now we're gonna have two.
Oh, all right. Hold on, I'm not going to get too bad.
Okay.
I go, exactly, it's 12 million people, about a third of which will end up paying more under this law. And that, as you said in the introduction, is sort of the idea. We currently have a highly discriminatory system where if you're sick, if you've been sick, or if you're going to get sick, you cannot get health insurance. Now, first off, that's just a bald-faced lie. If you're going to get sick, you can't get it. So the doctors can actually tell you, MIT bastard. He goes, the only way to end that discriminatory system, is to bring everyone into the system and pay one fair price. What? That means that genetic winners, the lottery winners who've been paying an artificially low price because of this discrimination, so now you've been paying an artificially low price because you're healthier, will now have to pay more in return. And that, by my estimate, is about 4 million people. In return, we have a fixed system where over 30 million people will now, for the first time, be able to access fairly priced and guaranteed health insurance. Jonathan Gruber, you better pray to the good Lord above that this country never, and I mean never, goes into mass hysteria because you have officially made the list.
Well,
Yeah, Gruber, don't go get yourself thrown off at Nakatomi Plaza. or
Yeah,
anything.
I'm telling you what, Gruber. It's this person right here, and this is only my opinion, and I'm going to say it like this. Jonathan Gruber is pure evil.
well, and here's the thing, and here's the big just falsehood in what he's saying, is that your health is generally dependent on your own choices. Now, are there some people who are more prone to get sick than others? Of course. Is there going to be some illnesses that some people just get because of their genetics? Of course. But for the most part, your health is dependent on your choices. So if I choose to live my life healthy and eat healthy and run and exercise and keep myself healthy, and you don't, I shouldn't have to pay more because you choose not to do those things.
Yeah. Well, and look, and don't get me wrong. Look, there are things that happen, and genetics plays a role. I'm not going to say that it doesn't, because it totally plays a role. The problem in lies is that on the majority, as a whole, if you do the right things, you'll be healthy.
Right.
On the majority. I mean, it's not every time. And, and here's the thing. This is the same guy that would probably argue for vaccinations, that everybody needs to be vaccinated with the flu, with the flu, when we know what's in that stuff. I mean, you can read the papers on that yourselves. And the funny part about it is, because of that, they would go, oh, this wild conspiracy theory. But because that that message made it out to enough people, and enough people quit taking the flu shots, that the flu rates went down last year.
Right.
Like, that's the part of the story they don't want to tell you.
And they were saying it was going to be such a bad flu season.
Because
and
nobody was getting flu shots.
well, even before flu, they were like, this is going to be a bad flu season. You know, everybody needs to get their shot. That nobody did, and it wasn't near as bad as they thought, even with people not getting the flu shots.
Yeah.
Well, and they've done studies on this, and more people get the flu from the flu shot than would get the flu naturally.
Yeah, because inside the flu shot is the flu.
And the thing is, they even tell you, unless you are a small child or an elderly person, you probably don't need it. The flu is probably not going to kill you, and you'll probably be better off just getting it, letting your body fight it, and moving on.
Because you build up something called immunities.
Exactly.
Mr. MIT bastard.
And that's the thing. And, you know, and if you look on, and this is just anyone who does this, because you can, you know, when you get the prescription and when you get the flu shot, it comes in a box, and you can ask to read that box and read the ingredients. And the ingredients are like formaldehyde. Like, well, that seems safe to inject into my system.
I don't feel like I'm going to be a lottery winner if I take formaldehyde.
You know, mercury and
Yeah. Things that might kill you.
the things that like every parent was like, don't go near that, don't touch it, it's a poison, are the things that they're injecting in you with a flu shot.
And here's the thing. And this is why I'm saying ultimately this might be, you could consider this thing a good thing. And here's why. These guys have so geeked this thing up, and they've put so many people out there that are now acting like they like we know, like the authoritarian psychopaths that they are. Look, Jonathan Gruber is an authoritarian psychopath. He's a perfect example of this because he hates you unless you need him or unless you need government.
Unless you need government, right.
He hates you. He thinks that you're being discriminatory. You might as well just said anybody that doesn't get sick is a friggin' racist. I mean, that's basically what you're saying. You know,
Our doctors are racist against people who don't get sick.
Yeah.
you want to know what? I'm going to say this right now. Look, we didn't get home till 1 something in the morning.
Right.
Well, I woke up this morning to do the show. This guy keeps me going. You know why? Because we got to stop you, man. Like, we got to stop. I don't think that you've done anything enough to where we actually can put you in jail right now. But I'm going to find out. And I'd like to see if we can actually do
It's
that.
a
Like,
shame.
I'm pulling your credit report.
crimes against, like, this is what,
No, I can
honestly,
hear
and people make this reference all the time, and people get mad when you make this reference. This was Hitler's mindset. I'm not going to call him a Nazi. I'm going to
Right.
say that this was Hitler's mindset.
Yeah.
You're going to start calling for people that are, that genetically are predisposed to these conditions. You're going to be calling for their murder soon. You are going to be doing this because your logical conclusion with your talk, with your way of thinking is going to come to that.
Well, what's going to happen with people with his kind of way of thinking is here in the next 10, 15, 20 years, those people are going to be aborted as fetuses.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
people are, you know, it's going to be common for doctors to be running genetic testing and all
Right.
kinds
And
of
just
other
say,
testing.
you know, that child's going to be prone to sickness.
Yeah, this child is probably going to have such and such disease
Right.
by the time they're such and such age, and so you have the option now to abort this baby. So, and that's what people are going to do.
And it's so sad to see it come, you know, and I do agree with you, and that's, but I mean, and I don't like the reference between, and I know that it is actually true what you're saying, that was the mindset of Hitler, and I think when we frame it that way, you know, people tend to be able to just kind of ignore what we're saying. So I don't like to make those references, but you have to take it on the surface that it is. You have to listen to his words and analyze it correctly. At the end of the day, what he's saying is that the healthcare system is discriminating against people who don't get sick or who take care of themselves, and that's ridiculous. People shouldn't have to pay more if they're not using the services. There is no other service anywhere where if you went into a restaurant and someone ordered a salad or just an order of fries, and someone else ordered a 3-course meal, you would have said, well, we're discriminating because the person who just ate a salad is only paying $3 and you're paying $20.
Yeah, we're not splitting this bill evenly, bitch.
Right.
So-
If you're not using the services, you shouldn't have to pay more or the same.
Yeah.
Well, and don't get me wrong. Look, pooling of this to limit the amount that an individual has to pay by buying something called insurance is something that's already being done. And it's because of the government that it costs as much as it does now because of all the
Right.
stupid regulations that you idiots want to put on this stuff. But let me also back up and let me go back to the article or to the ads that are an insult. The first ad, the pill. How much does Danielle, you're a woman, so you may know this. How much does a pill cost on a monthly basis to buy?
Okay, well, here's the thing.
Average price.
I haven't had to take the pill because because of the whole issue with cancer and everything years ago. I haven't had to take it in a good 10 years. Now, 10 years ago, it would cost me about $25 for the month.
A month.
And I
A
think
month.
it's still about $30, $35.
Yeah.
So we'll go with $30, $35 a month. Hey, look, if your dumb ass doesn't have $35 a month to buy the pill, you shouldn't be trying to bang anybody.
Yeah, if
Bottom line.
if you can't afford the pill, spend the $8 on a box of condoms,
that is true.
Yeah, there you go.
and then use them.
And those
Don't let them sit there.
and they can get those. They give those out for free at the health department if you don't have the $8.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But some of these other ones, I mean, I was really offended by some of these. Like I get to be on my mom's insurance, so I get to go play golf every day.
Yeah. I mean, this really is, if this is what they think that we've come to, and they're right, we're screwed. But
It's
I
all
don't,
over.
but I think that even when people, like young people are looking at these ads, I think that they may be getting insulted.
I hope
Because
so.
they're that blatant. I mean, they are that blatant, and it's really amazing. And here's another thing too about Obama. How they're, he's putting out that we're going to make some changes to it. And again, this guy really does think that he's just a dictator. He really does,
Yeah.
because he doesn't think that this decision has to be made by Congress. Like, Congress voted for it. They're going to have to be the ones that voted to change it. You can't be the ones that are, you can't change it unilaterally. I mean, who do you think you are? You ignorant piece of shit.
Well, that's what collectivists like to do. They like to move the goalposts.
Yeah,
That's
central
their
planners
favorite
are,
thing to do.
central planners really are pissing me off, man.
Well, and the thing is like central planners don't even plan correctly because they always have to change the plan because it sucks.
Well, because
That's why they have to move the goalposts.
yeah, because you know why? Because I'll tell you why. Because, and you know what? You remember the Keynes Hayek video that they did, the second one? Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I think so.
It's like the economy. It's organic. Mm-hmm. It's not a machine. It's not mechanical.
It's going to change.
It's organic because humans are organic. You ignorant Kenyan-born bastard. I don't even care what country you're born from. You were actually from the spawn of. Again, I can't even believe I'm saying this. You're the devil. You and the rest of your Central Plan and MIT people are the devil. You really are. I'm so. And again, I'm happy because I'm sure there's a whole lot of other people that are seeing exactly this. Matter of fact, for the first time, the majority of Americans have actually called this president untrustworthy and dishonest. A majority.
Yeah.
Only 39% approve of the job that he's doing, and the majority think that this guy is a dishonest person. You know what? Because he is.
Because they're right.
Yeah.
'Cause they're right.
It ain't that
They've
he's.
been paying attention. Thank you.
It ain't that he's untrustworthy and dishonest. Is that he's a liar and a traitor. Those words are not strong enough for the way I feel about this person. You are the biggest scumbag on the earth, and you did this stuff not to help a soul. You're standing on your moral high ground. You are a liar for standing on that moral high ground, because in all reality, you really do want to install a totalitarian regime where you and your cronies are the only ones that are getting benefits and nobody else is getting anything else. And I'm glad that everybody's starting to actually see it, because hopefully, just hopefully, you're going to break the system enough that we can actually start to fix it and we can actually help people.
Well, I mean, the system is going to collapse on itself if they can't get more people to sign up. And, I mean, for anyone that says, no, well, this is to help people. I mean, we're going to help people not get insurance. Well, so far, 3,500 people in Florida do have insurance because of this, and 300,000 people don't. So you can't sit there and even say, well, we did this to help get more people on insurance, because now there are less people insured today than there was before. So that's a complete lie. And even overall, of the 36 states that the government is running the exchanges, only 27,000 people total have even signed up. They have 106,000 people nationally that have signed up. They have that now. They're trying to make themselves look better than it is. So they're trying to. Kathleen Sebelius is actually saying 975,000 people have made it through the process, but most of them have it all like sitting in their cart, and they're not paying for it.
Right.
How many? Let me hold on. Here we go. And let me answer it another way. If you're listening to the show, how many times have you gone onto some place, looked at something because you wanted to see what the price was, and then you ended up having to put it in the cart, and then you just hit the X button on the top right corner?
Right.
What happened? Why did you do that? Because I didn't want the product.
It was too expensive.
It was too expensive. Or there was something else that I didn't like.
Right.
Or I didn't want the product. I just wanted to see how much you people were trying to charge us for it.
Right.
That's what they're doing. Now, and here's the thing. Kathleen Sebelius is an evil woman, but she's not stupid. She knows that.
She knows that.
And she's willing to lie to the American people, because what they want to do is they want to make sure that they institute their socialist utopia, which is exactly what this thing is, which is why you have them clamoring so hard, because they realize if this thing fails, and it's gonna fail whether they like it or not,
They've got nothing.
they've got nothing.
Yeah.
And then their ideology, which has been a failed ideology, which has been in this country for over 100 years, which has been here for about 100 years now at this point, if you want to go right from the Fed on, the progressives, you guys are a bunch of failures. And the reason you're attacking libertarians so hard, you know that you're not going to be able to use the stupid gay marriage argument with us. You're not going to be able to use the abortion argument with us. You're not going to be able to use the evil corporatist with us. You know that when people actually hear what we have to say, and they get to hear the truth, not your twisted version of it, that they will come flocking, because they already are. Mm-hmm. You collectivists are done. You're done. Like I said, you are making more libertarians every day, and thank you for it.
Well, and they keep using, because in a lot of elections, and we are seeing a lot of Republicans lose, and lose to Democrats, and they keep touting that as, well, that's the mandate. You know, this is all because of Obamacare, and it's not. It really isn't. I mean, a lot, and when you look down, and I don't have it pulled up right now, but you know, I always love that you have to go to an outside of the U.S. news source to really get a good breakdown of things. But The Guardian UK actually had a breakdown of why Republicans are losing, and Republicans are keeping their seats when their candidate is not a social conservative.
Right.
But they're losing seats to Democrats when the candidate they put up is a social conservative.
Exactly.
So when the Republican Party learns that if they keep putting up these candidates who want to be in everybody's bedroom and tell everybody what they can do in their bedroom, they're going to keep losing. And that's why you're losing. It's not because anybody likes Obamacare. It's I don't want you in my bedroom.
Yeah. Quite frankly, we agree with you on the economy, guys, but shut up about abortion and gay marriage and everything else. Get out of our bedroom, get out of our lives, and fix the economy.
Right.
And if you would do that, people would vote for you. But when you put your foot in your mouth and swallow it to the knee, talking about gay marriage and, oh, well, if she gets raped, you know, I mean, really, guys?
Yeah.
Really? Are you guys that dumb? Are you just trying to give this to the Democrats?
Yeah, I mean they really are. I mean, and it was actually a breakdown of what happened in Virginia. But they started looking at the elections kind of all over the place, and because Virginia is actually the one that has the elections that came up, you know, as the most recent. So they looked at, because it was not just the governor's race that happened in Virginia. There was actually some state house seats. There was, they don't have a ticket. It's not governor and lieutenant governor on one ticket that you vote for. You vote for the governor and you vote for the lieutenant governor. There was 3 big races. And they had Jackson, who was actually on the Republican ticket for for lieutenant governor. And then, of course, Cuccinelli, who was there for governor. And then Obenshain, he was running for like a state house seat. Now, Jackson was an extreme social conservative. I mean, he made Cuccinelli look like, you know, he was a wild man there. And then obviously Cuccinelli, who wanted to ban things like, you know, oral sex and things like that. But Jackson basically, I mean, he was really off he wanted to ban everything. You know, everything.
Abstinence only.
Yeah.
All the time.
And now Obenshain was actually stuck on economic issues and, you know, just kind of, you know, was a little bit of a social conservative, but very much, you know, downplayed it all. And he won. And the other two lost, and they lost considerably. Jackson lost by the most. I mean, it wasn't even close. He lost by 10 points. And then Cuccinelli by a narrow margin. And he was kind of the one in the middle.
Hold on. The reason the other guy lost by 10 points and Cuccinelli lost by a narrow margin was because Sarvis was in the race.
Okay, not really helping with my point.
My bad.
Okay.
Sorry. I was trying to be helpful there. I actually was literally trying to be helpful.
Yeah.
So, my apologies. Continue.
But when you look at it says if you look at the three Republicans with roughly similar views on social policy, perform quite differently. The most outspoken was Jackson, who was crushed. The quietest, Obenshain, did the best. He actually, I think he won, but he won by a very narrow margin. And then Cuccinelli, who was somewhere in the middle, fell just short of Terry McAuliffe, the Democrat. And they've started, you know, and if you go in depth into this, they've actually started looking at it in other states. This is what's happening. This social conservative agenda that the GOP has and is running candidates with this, and sometimes in some cases extreme social agenda, in the case of Jackson for sure, that's why you're losing. There's no mandate on Obamacare. It's not that, well, Democrats keep winning, so Obamacare must be great. No, people hate Obamacare. They think Obama's a liar. They don't trust him. But they just think you guys are worse.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. Do you know how much you have to suck to be considered worse than Obama?
Right.
Like, do you understand how much more you have to suck it up? Like, out of all the candidates that you could have picked against to go against Obama in 2012, you literally picked the worst one.
Right. You picked the person who actually wrote the first version of Obamacare.
Yeah, thinking, oh yeah, again, you're insulting the American people. Romney was an insult.
Right.
Anybody on that side would have been better than Romney. Anybody. Look, Newt Gingrich would have done better. Newt Gingrich would have won.
Yeah.
Not that I would have voted for him.
Not that I would have voted for him because I wouldn't have.
I wouldn't have either because he's just as bad as the other side is. I mean, Santorum, who's the scariest guy in America. Now, Santorum wouldn't have won.
Santorum wouldn't have won, and that was the extreme social agenda that would have killed him.
Yeah.
But Romney couldn't win. He never could have won because the big issue was Obamacare, and if you wanted to get rid of Obamacare, Romney wasn't the person to do it. And since the election, we talked about this last week, he basically said he would have done the exact same thing, except instead of mandating the people themselves, he would have mandated the states to insure the people.
Yeah, he would have mandated that the states mandate the people.
Right, so you would have had absolutely zero difference, and that's what the people looked at.
Yeah.
So, you know, for all these people out there and all these Democrats that are saying, oh, well, look, Democrats keep winning, so that means people like Obamacare. No. People hate Obamacare. They think it's a train wreck. And you can tell by the way people are signing up, because they're not, because they hate it. They just think the Republicans are more evil.
They don't like Obama, but they really hate people who want to ban blowjobs.
Right.
It's a very good point.
That's the point.
It's a very good point. It's a very good point. And it's funny and scary and sad all at the same time. I know that sounds funny to say it that way, but it really truly is. It's at a time frame that we're so in desperate need for just good politicians that don't want to control your lives that I'm speechless at
And
this
I'm
point, man,
gonna-
you people.
I want to go into a little different order than what I have things on there, because I think this kind of goes better. It's sad when other countries are starting to make laws that are better than our own, like communist countries like China.
Here's what I don't get. We have, here in this country, 236 years we've had the Constitution, this great nation, land of the free, home of the brave. We've had over 200 years to cultivate this freedom and liberty mindset and find the way to perfect as best we can a government that allows its people to live free.
Right.
And all around us, all around the world, we have these horrible situations where we see just how bad it can be under a totalitarian regime. I mean, we've seen it through history. We
Right.
brought up Hitler, Stalin, Mao. You know, you've got all these historical examples, and you have it going on right now. You have Syria, you have Egypt, you have all these countries in Africa where warlords are in control and
Right.
no one has freedom. We have all these examples of why people should live free, why the government should protect the freedoms of their people and let the people be free. And we refuse to learn it. We refuse to see it. We just want to control everything.
Well, and communist countries, and this is why I brought up China, listen, they have horrible laws. And I'm not saying that China is anywhere on the path to, absolute freedom, but they're starting to loosen the chains on their people.
Because the people are demanding it.
The people are demanding it.
In order for those people to maintain power, they're having to do stuff like this, but it'll never be enough.
Yeah. So, and this is, everybody has, and listen, these were horrible policies of China that had the one-child policy where you could only have one child. Then they had, labor camps where they were, basically taking your children and educating them into being, into being able to work in the factory kind of system and stuff. And they're starting to get rid of those laws. Like the big argument is, well, if you send your work overseas, it's some, child being, in China. Well, they're starting to back away from that because they're seeing that having that control over their people and that strength, that much control over their people isn't working. And in cities where they have a lot more freedom, like Hong Kong and things like that, Hong Kong is actually very, very free city. They're flourishing. So in places like China's starting to get rid of these now. They're nowhere near where they need to be. I mean, they're still a, communist regime. But they're starting to loosen the chains. As our country is tightening them, other countries that we've demonized and said, look at how bad they are starting to loosen them. And that's a bad pendulum swing for us.
Yeah.
And we need to be looking at that and make sure that we're not going in the wrong direction. Germany has now suspended their drone program because they find the killings of people with drones illegal. So, but yet we're saying, oh no, we need more drones.
We need more drones. We need them more active. We need them over our own skies, over ally skies, over enemy skies. We need them everywhere.
Yeah, but the German government came out this week and said that they are suspending their drone program and that they categorically reject illegal killings. And they believe that, and they're saying, and this actually followed a report of of government aiding U.S. drone strikes in Pakistan. And they've basically looked at this and said, this is the path that we're on. We're on a path where we're going to start killing people with drones. And we can't, our own laws call that illegal, so we don't want to participate in that. In the U.S., our own laws would call it illegal too, but yet we're still engaged in it. And I just think that we as a country need to start looking around the world and saying, wait a minute, all of these countries who we've said, well, at least we're not them and we need to do everything we can to not be like them. But we're starting to be like them and they're starting to be more free.
Well, I think that the people that are in charge right now, the authoritarian psychopaths in Washington, D.C., see those other countries and see the power that those politicians have and want that power. And they love that power, and they love being able to tell other people what to do. They love controlling the population because that's what authoritarian psychopaths love. Like people that are nice people, like roses and songs and, movies.
Butterflies.
Movies with butterflies in it,
Rainbows.
right? Rainbows and nice walks on the beach. Authoritarian psychopaths love to pass laws that can control people, and they love to make the rules in weird ways to where they can bust anybody for anything at any time, no matter what. And they love making the rules that confuse you and that make sure that you're under their thumb, because authoritarian psychopaths love that stuff. and they love killing people. They absolutely love killing people. Now, right now, the only people that they're really allowed to kill like that, well, they can kill a lot of people like that, but they love the drones because you know what? The drones is like the video game way of killing people. Obama loves him some drones. Just loves him some drones. You know what? I hope I'm alive when they throw him in jail.
See, here's the thing. They don't love killing people. And they put up that nice front about how humanitarian they are and how much
Right.
they love people, and they don't kill people. They kill demons, because what they'll do is demonize you first and make you this horrible thing. Whatever it is that you believe in or whatever you stand for, they'll demonize you for it. And then once you're evil and horrible and you're a bad influence on society, then it's okay to kill you.
Yeah.
Well, and and while other countries like Germany is disbanding their drone program and China is starting to loosen the chains on their people, like I said, nowhere near are they creating a free society, but loosening the chains that they've had on their people. We're doing things like trying to, and this is the new thing. We're collecting data on any international money transfers. The CIA is collecting data, and it doesn't matter who you are. If you send money, and there's a huge population of immigrants here that are legally here from another country, but they send money to their family back home. Mm-hmm. And now they're being scrutinized because you never know what those people are doing, sending their money overseas. They're presuming that you're doing something wrong instead of presuming that you're innocent. And that's the only reason to collect data on all international money transfers. It's the only reason. Mm-hmm. If were born in Italy or born in Portugal or any country, and you came here and you're doing well and you want to send money back home, you're automatically looked at as, well, why are they doing that? Are they doing something wrong? But that's not the way we're supposed to be. Everyone's supposed to be presumed to be innocent, that you're doing nothing wrong. You're just living your life. Mm-hmm. Until you give us a reason to question you. Sending money overseas isn't a reason to question you, especially in a country like ours where there's a huge amount of immigration. Mm-hmm. None of us came from here, except the Indians, Native Americans.
The entire reason this country got built up to the point that it is immigrants coming here to be free and create a prosperous life for themselves so they could raise their family and support their family. And people have been coming here to work and prosper and send their rewards back to their families around the world since the beginning of this country.
Right. But now that fact and knowing that everyone's family came here from somewhere else, you sending money to another country automatically makes you look suspicious. That's ridiculous. But the CIA thinks it's fine. They're doing it. The NSA is doing that. I mean, they're surveilling everybody. But the CIA is taking your financial records if you're sending money overseas. And it doesn't matter where you're sending it to. It's not like there's key countries that they're looking at. It's everyone who's sending money overseas. If you and they actually named Western Union. If you go to Western Union and send money overseas, you're automatically looked at suspiciously.
Yeah, but if you send off all of our jobs to another country and you incorporate your company in a tax haven, that's not suspicious. That's
right.
You can do that.
Now you're government.
Yeah. You're a government. You're one of the bros.
Now they're trying to, and this is, and everybody has like the people in general have that one issue where everyone will stand up and say no to, and it is that, when they talk about starting to censor the internet, that's when everybody is like, no.
Yeah.
That's when everybody stands up. So they haven't been able, they've only been able to pass very few things when it comes to the internet.
Right.
Because the people just get up in arms as soon as you start talking about it. But now the FBI has been, going to Congress and urging Congress that they need to be able to have better surveillance programs online, because now the threat isn't at home. The threat is cyber attacks.
Yeah.
So they have to sell the fear that people aren't coming here to the U.S. to kill people. They're just going to attack us over the internet. So we must have better restrictions on the internet. Because of those cyber attacks, they're coming. That's the new threat.
And what's the risk? You might lose some emails.
Yeah.
I mean, your computer cannot shoot you. There is no
Right.
computer virus that is going to make your
That's gonna
computer
kill
kill
you.
you. Worst case scenario, you've lost your data and you need a new computer.
Yeah, and this, I mean, I almost look at, like, who's buying this? Well, we need to do something because the new terrorist attack is going to come from cyber attacks. So your website's going to be down for a little bit? Hey, guys, I don't mean to, like, rain on your parade, but you ain't so good at building websites anyways.
Yeah. And you know what? You know what? The terrorists are not going to commit a cyber attack on me. Right. They're going to commit a cyber attack on you because you guys are the assholes. You're the douches that they hate. And you know what? I don't really have a problem with that.
Like I said, it's not like your websites are working all that. I mean, like, well, our website might go down. Yeah, or it might just never work.
It's got to come up to go down.
Yeah, we're still waiting for it to work for it to be attacked.
It's like government websites are, patterned off of Clinton's interns or something.
Wow. That's the line of the day. There's no doubt about it. That is the line of the day. Thank you, Knobs. Holy cow. Holy boy. Oh my gosh.
That's funny.
Don't get me wrong.
That's why I'm here.
I appreciate that. It makes up for being late. I got to tell you, though. I mean, don't get me wrong. I got mad even just within this last hour. And part of me is angry. I don't know who. We were talking about this yesterday, I think. And I've been talking about this for a couple days. And since I've gotten into a couple, disputes with a lot of different people, I'm angry. I'm not going to lie. I'm pissed off, angry. And you know what? If you're one of these people that's already been involved in politics for a long time, and you're getting used, or you are used to the treachery that's going on, and you found a way to compartmentalize it yourself, and that you found a way to explain it away and be able to play in this red team blue team game. I know you can't understand me. I know you can't. I understand now that you're not going to be able to understand me. You know why? Because not you, I represent the average American. I'm not a big smart guy. I'm not a big genius. I'm not.
You mean you didn't go to Harvard?
I didn't get a Harvard.
Everybody knows that, Alex.
Yeah, I know. I'm not surprising anybody here. But you know what I am? You know what I am able to do, though? In front of a group of people, I am able to properly put into context the anger of the average American. And I am smart enough to know that we can put together a plan to remove you.
Yeah.
I just happen to be a big enough asshole that it makes it a little bit harder to do, because not a lot of people want to work with me. That's why I had to team up with Francisco and Danielle. Little did I know Danielle's just as bad. It's all on Francisco now.
I'm slightly better, but only slightly.
Slightly better. I'll give you are better.
I am slightly better.
Slightly.
Slightly
better.
No, and I always find it funny that listen, we have a reputation of being angry and yelling and kind of going off the deep end with some things and things like that. But when someone starts working with us, who kind of gets through they're just jerks kind of, thing, and actually starts working with us and doing things with us all the time, they kind of, number one, they realize that we're actually kind of nice people.
For the most part. I'm still kind of an asshole.
A little bit over the top.
More of one somebody can deal with.
Yeah, but, for the most part, they can look at us as quirky instead of angry.
Yeah.
But what they also tend to, after a little while of working with us, you start to see their anger come out. And then they'll kind of almost be like, you guys just knew this stuff before.
Yeah.
And that's why you're so angry. You're not jerks. You just knew all this stuff and nobody was listening, and you just want to shake everybody.
Exactly.
Shake the shit out of them.
Like when you
I just want to shake. I really do want to grab up some people every once in a while,
Just
and I
shake
just
'em.
want to shake them. And it's people I like actually. Like I don't want to hurt them, but I just want to shake them because I think that they need to be shook for just and only like 5 seconds.
Don't shake the baby.
Yeah, I'm not going to shake the baby. The dingo ate your baby. I don't want to shake them for very long. I just want to shake them for like whenever they ask me something that's kind of dumb. It's what were you thinking with that cushion? That's not right. Think about it, something else.
But like people who start to work with us and see like all the stuff and like then kind of really listen to how we're putting it together and say, and they're like, but you saw this coming years ago. It's like, yeah, and nobody wanted to listen then. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, that's why you're so angry. You're not just angry people. You've just been trying to tell people this for years and nobody's wanted to listen. And now you're at a point where you're screaming at them because nothing else has worked.
You know, when I was running for office, I think I've told this story. I might have told it on air before. I know I've told it to you guys before.
Yeah.
When I was running for office, there was a woman in Kissimmee. I'll leave her name out of it. And she ran the Kissimmee group. And one night we were talking, and I even think I might just have this in an email. And she basically said that the problem you have, Alex, is that you're 2 election cycles too early.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Like you are just too early. That they're not ready for you.
People aren't ready to listen.
People aren't ready for you.
Now,
And
go ahead.
at the time, I was actually like a little insulted. I was a little insulted. But now I totally get what she meant.
Yeah. Well, because now people are starting to listen and people are starting to join us and they're starting to get just as angry. We're like, we were always looked at as the jerks that just fly off the handle. Now it's like, oh, I'm just as angry. Like the really mild mannered, like, everything's great. I love my life are now like, I'm angry. I'm pissed off.
Yeah.
We were just at an event the other night where someone who we've known for a very long time just finally had enough and listened to some man just drone on and on about stupid stuff, how and he was from the Republican, he was the state committee man in that county or whatever, and just go on and on and on. And someone who we've known for a long time, who's very always mild mannered, one of the sweetest, nicest, quietest people I think I've ever met, stood up in the middle of the meeting and started yelling him down. And he just lost his mind and started yelling at him. And basically was like, after the Republicans have treated all these liberty people, how dare you say that to us? And he just started yelling. And it's like, and now people are starting to understand the anger, but I do agree, because we've been saying that we've been doing this for years and telling people this stuff for years to the point where we've been driven insane.
And the funny thing is, back to that point that she had made to you about you being 2 election cycles too early, had you not run, you would still be 2 election cycles
Yes.
too early. We need the candidates like you, the other libertarian candidates, these guys who are out there saying these things, getting the attention to get us closer.
Yeah.
I go with that.
You know,
I go
we
with
have
that.
to have those candidates. I mean, how many people do you know personally? I'm one,
Right.
who, because of your campaign, are now far more involved and plugged in
and I'm one too.
participating.
No, a lot.
And,
Absolutely.
and because of your campaign and because of what you did, what a better position we're in with Adrian's campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's true. I'll have to take credit. So.
But really,
Reluctantly.
the point behind that is,
if you can't see the, yeah, don't twist my arm now. And I still got an ego. So.
and we just pumped it up a little
Yeah.
bit, but
Well, we got 2 hours to bring it
You'll
back.
deflate that back down after the break.
We'll stomp on them during the break. But we need candidates. That's what we need. We need people to come out and run. And a lot of people are afraid. They're afraid they'll lose. They're afraid they'll look bad. But ultimately, whether or not you win isn't always the most important thing. It's, do you bring about change?
Yeah.
Because that's why.
Are you moving the ball forward?
Yeah, that's why we're all involved.
Absolutely.
I don't think any of us have any illusions about achieving everything we want and having complete victory in our lifetimes.
No, what would
Right.
you, what
But
would you
as
do a
long
radio show on?
But
Actually,
as long as
I
we're
can
moving
find some
forward.
ideas. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is, and
Sorry.
it's moving everything forward, and I think it is important, and I think that even though the reception that we were getting in 2010 is nothing like what we're getting now. I mean, it was people thought we were crazy, and they were like, hateful. But now people are starting to listen, and I think in another couple election cycles, we're going to start winning.
Yeah. All right, well, we got to take a break, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's 10 o'clock.
All right, let's take a break real quick. We'll get back on. When we come back on, though, we're going to be live on Tan Talk 1340. If you do want to call the program, by the way, the number is 727-565-1787. That's 727-565-1787. We'll be back. This is Liberty Underground.
Hi, this is Gary Johnson, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with cameras. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
At Auto Body Unlimited, they work with their hands and heart to provide outstanding high-quality work and customer service. They specialize in European automobile collision repair work and refinish. At Auto Body Unlimited, they bring your car up to manufacturer standards, or they will buy your car back. They have dedicated equipment and use the same processes and paint that you would get from the factory. At Auto Body Unlimited, they don't work for the insurance company, they work for you. Auto Body Unlimited is located at 1300 Sunset Point Road in Clearwater. Call 727-443-4041 or on the web at autobodyunlimited.com. Visit Auto Body Unlimited for all of your repair needs. They work for you. If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-9883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at tacklemyticket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
You know Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street, just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
When the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them. Auto Owners Insurance has been recognized as highest in customer satisfaction with the auto insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power and Associates. For award information, go to jdpower.com. Call Row Insurance in Newport Richey today at 727-376-0030.
listening to this. You are the resistance.
Listen to the words of the man with the rifle in his hand. Don't be mistaken. I believe in peace, but I won't be taken. I will not submit to authority of man. I'm ready to die, but not for a lie. See the signs appear. It's gonna happen here.
This is Liberty Underground with Alex Snicker and Adrian Wiley on the 1787 Radio Network.
Well, good morning, Tampa Bay, Clearwater, St. Petersburg. This is Alex, co-host, Liberty Underground, along with me, Danielle Alexandre. How are you doing this morning, Danielle?
I'm doing good.
Along also is Greg Bowen. Greg, how are you doing, sir?
Great.
You are listening to hour number 2 of the Liberty Underground show on the Tan Talk Radio Network. Hour number 1 and hour number 3 are available to you online. If you go to YouTube and put in the 1787 Network, you can actually watch live as you're listening on the air. But don't turn off Tan Talk 1340 now. Listen to Tan Talk. It's a good station, good people. But we are live online as well. We got into a lot of Obamacare stuff on hour number 1. We're not going to get into that again. We're going to go local for hour number 2 because if you live in Clearwater, we want to talk about the news that affects you. Go ahead, Dan.
And Alex doesn't know, so let me tell you.
Well, I know, but I was letting you set it up, though.
Well, we actually didn't talk about this last week, but the actual election was last week, not this week. But we've been talking about this Clearwater Aquarium quite a bit. And it was up for a vote. It was kind of heated on both sides. There was a lot of people for it, a lot of people against it. A lot of people saying that I don't really mind it, but I think it was maybe just too big of a project. Well, it did actually end up passing. And it was 54.9% in favor, 45.1% opposed to it. So this did pass by a pretty good margin. And so, they started talking about this and everything. But the good news, for those who were against it, or at least the ones that were saying I don't really mind it, but maybe that's a little too big, is they actually are looking at a much smaller project now. They did get the go-ahead. They actually got the go-ahead on an aquarium that was going to cost $160 million. But what they're looking at now, and they're still kind of working out all the details and everything. This facility is only going to be about $60 million, which is still a lot of money. But it's a lot better. I mean, $100 million less than what the original proposal was. So the plans are going to be, a much smaller. It's not going to be the huge facility that it was. So I think that's maybe kind of a good compromise in Clearwater.
Well, I have a little bit of a different take on this.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. This just goes to show you that the only thing that this aquarium was about was to get a new city hall.
Yep.
No, absolutely it was.
All this was to use a dolphin without a tail to pull at your heartstrings so that the city council of Clearwater can get a new city hall. That's what this thing's all about. And it really is sad. It really is. It just goes to show you that the authoritarian psychopaths are not in Washington, D.C. alone, that they are also in our own backyard.
Yes.
But I mean, I do have to think that it's better that they're at least scaling it down.
No, that's no. And again, they're going to try to raise the funds to do this. A lot of it, the majority of it, is going to be done privately.
Right.
But the problem is going to go where it comes in is they're not going to pay them to build a new city hall.
No, that's going to be tax dollars.
You're going to end up paying tax dollars for this stuff. And they're going to put in all the bennies that they could possibly put into this thing. I'm sure they're going to have widescreen TVs in their bathrooms, like the Taj Mahal up in Tallahassee.
Not the aquarium, right?
Not
City
the
Hall.
aquarium. I don't think they're going to put them in the aquarium. Well, they're scaling back. They're going to get rid of all the WoW features there. So, that's actually what they said. And it's funny is the guy that's heading this effort, who's going to be paid for this, of course, is going to be the former mayor of Clearwater, Frank Hibbert, the guy that put red light cameras in, by the way. And he says, we may have to cut back on some of the WoW factors. Oh, no, that was Dame that said that. I'm sorry. Again, it's just one of these things that's just amazing that we didn't want to be lowballing and then not be able to meet construction costs, Hibbert said. That being said, I think it was overdone. Like, I wondered if you'd have said that to the people as they were having to vote on it. It's always weird how as soon as something wins, then, as soon as you voted on it, then more of the truth comes out about actually what they're trying to do.
Well, we've got to pass it to find out what's in it.
Yeah, and if you like your plan, you can keep your. If you like your aquarium, you can keep your aquarium. If you like your aquarium, you can keep it. Except for the fact that we're not going to do that.
You're in Clearwater because they're totally not. You're getting a new aquarium.
Yeah.
And you're going to pay for it. No, I do think I'm glad that at least some cooler heads prevailed somewhat. And they're going to kind of scale this back because, I think I read this. The aquarium only really brings in about $15 million a year. So to spend $160 million on a project that only brings in $15 million a year, it takes you a long amount of time to even break even. So, I think that, at least bringing it down to $60 million, I mean, you kind of break even at least in about 5 years. It's not great. But a 5-year break even on a project in a business actually isn't that bad. That's pretty standard. If you can break even on a project in business within 5 years, I mean, you're generally in a pretty good position. So I thought $160 million for what they were bringing in every year was overly excessive. But that, at least when they're scaling it back to $60 million, if you're looking at this from a business angle, that's really not that bad to recover the money in 5 years and things like that. So, and it may it is going to bring in more people into the Clearwater area, into the downtown area, and that's a good thing. But of course, it was just to get a new city hall. I mean, and that's. The reasoning behind it was bad no matter what, because they used this project just to get a new city hall.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. They totally did. It really, it's one of these things where, and government is really good at this, or a lot of people in government are really good at this, is that they will wrap it on anything that they can, that if you deny, like if you say no, then they accuse you of hating that certain group. Like, you hate kids, or you hate grandmas, dolphins. Or you hate the military, or you hate handicapped dolphins, or you hate,
Who could hate a dolphin with a prosthetic tail?
Yeah, I don't hate the dolphin.
Wait a minute. You go back about 10 years ago. Did you ever thought you'd be on the radio talking about a dolphin with a prosthetic tail?
Not at all.
Never. If I would have bet on that one, I'd have lost.
I would have lost that bet.
I would have lost that bet. I'm not going to lie to you. I'd have lost that bet.
Let's put it into context. But,
It is kind of sad, actually, that it happens every time like this, too. It's like, you hate the dolphin if you don't want to pay $160 million and buy us a new city hall. Like, you can't even admit what the stuff is really for. Like, just admit, look, we want a new city hall. Now, I will tell you, I've been to Clearwater City Hall, and that it is an old building, and the elevators were old. Get a new elevator, man. Why? Why do you have to do this stuff? Why do you always guys have to do this stuff? But at any rate, what's
in
next,
other
Danny? I'm
Clearwater,
sorry.
Not only are they going to spend $60 million on a new aquarium, but they also are not going to give anyone the extra tax break. For anyone who doesn't know, is last year in 2012 there was an amendment 11 that was passed to the state constitution that would allow municipalities to completely waive property taxes on homes appraised under $250,000. So, and it has to be your home. It has to be the one that you live in, and you have to be considered low income. This isn't for anyone who has a home under $250,000, because if you look around, that's pretty much, everyone.
Unless you live in Florida.
with with the way property values have dropped. And, there's homes that I know that were built for $380,000 that are worth $110 now. So, but you have to be low income. But if a low income senior, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. I was skipping a word. You have to be a low income senior. But if your house is worth $250,000 or less, the municipality could basically give you a full homestead exemption on your home, where you would not have to pay any taxes on your home. But in Clearwater, they've decided no, because they did have the discretion in the amendment. It was up to each city municipality to be able to do that. And at least in the city of Clearwater, they've said no tax breaks for low income seniors. We need your money. Apparently they need your money for aquariums and city halls.
They need your money for everything. They think that they can spend it better than you can.
Yeah, of course. You are not nearly smart enough to be able to have your own money. We need to be able to have your money so we can tell you what to do. And if you're a low-income senior, well, you know what? We're probably going to buy it for something for you. But more than likely, it's probably for some aquarium that you'll never go to. How great is that, people? Your City of Clearwater, you guys are doing a bang-up job. Let me just tell you right now. But let's not ignore Pasco County today.
Oh, that is right. Because
Yeah.
I actually didn't put this on the prep, but you're right. I forgot to put this on.
Now, if you guys remember listening to the show, that there was a movement by the complete Republican-controlled Pasco County Commission. Again, there is no Democrats up there. There are all Republicans up there. That they were going to try to do a gas tax increase in Pasco County. And these tax-lowering fiscal conservatives, if you can't detect the sarcasm there, then please try to look a little deeper, have now a proposed increase in gas taxes, which died 2 months ago following a ruckus public hearing. You're welcome. Could get a new life after Commissioner Henry Wilson said Tuesday he might consider the tax as a way to pay for road improvements. I'm willing to keep my options open and talk about it, Wilson said after a 2-hour work session in which commissioners debated ways to raise more money for roads. Wilson's openness to consider the gas tax increase represents a surprising turnaround from September 10th, when he and Commissioner Jack Mariano cast the deciding votes to block passage of the tax hike after a public hearing in which 40 people testified, the overwhelming majority against it. Approval of the gas tax increase required 4 votes, but only 3 commissioners supported it. And it goes into this, but basically he is now looking at possibly raising the gas tax now.
Well, and he would have to be the one to propose it. Either him or Jack Mariano would have to propose it, which and Jack won't. And the reason why is because, and I don't know if this happens in every county, but in a lot of counties this does. And it is a pretty standard operating procedure. If you are not on the winning end of the vote, you can't bring it up for a vote. You can't bring it back.
Yeah.
So if you're on the losing end of the vote, then you can't bring the subject back up. And sometimes that's why you see what we normally would say is kind of a good guy in a county government vote the wrong way. Sometimes they vote the wrong way so that they can bring it back up when they have the votes to kill it or to pass it later on, because they can't bring it back unless they're on the winning end of the vote.
Yeah, that is that is something, and I think that is it's something that people don't necessarily understand or have a hard time figuring out.
Yeah.
I've had a hard time with it.
You had a hard, because sometimes, and we like Jack. I mean, we do like Jack for the most part. I mean, he doesn't vote right on everything. He doesn't agree with us on everything. But for the most part, he does look out for the people in Pasco. So we do tend to generally like Jack. And sometimes when he votes the wrong way on something we're like, how could he have voted that way on that? But then all of a sudden, like a few months later, he brings it back and says, look, I have all this information. We've done all this study. We've implemented it for this long, and it's been a failure. Let's get rid of it. And he knew he couldn't do that unless he was on the winning end of the vote.
Right.
Now, how much money does this gas tax, how much is it going to raise? Like, how much money will it raise? And in looking at the numbers, they say that this gas tax, a 5-cent gas tax increase, will raise about $8.5 million annually is what it will raise that they can work on.
Yeah, and this is where and people need to realize this. What they did was raise your millage rate in lieu of raising the gas taxes. So they've already raised the millage rate and said, okay, well, we're not going to do the gas tax, but we're going to do a small millage rate increase. And that was kind of the compromise when this was brought up last time. Now, if they bring this back, that means you had a millage rate increase and you'll have an increase in the gas tax. That means instead of either or, you ended up with both.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is how these guys work. Again, you got to make sure you're watching this because, the sleight of hand, even on a local level, happens. It's not like it doesn't happen. But they will go and they will hear the public, complain. Okay, well, we're not going to do it. And then the public goes away, and then they start going to do it again anyway. They're just going to wait till you leave. Mm-hmm. It's like they're like the Taliban. Like they're just going to wait till you're gone. Then when you leave, then they're just going to do it again anyway.
They're going to come back.
Yeah, they're like children.
The Pasco County Commission is kind of like the Taliban.
Now, if you've ever driven around, and we know this because we drive everywhere, gas taxes actually are different in different counties. And because of that, there are, Pasco County generally has slightly lower gas prices than like Hernando. Hernando has a 9-cent gas tax and we have a 7-cent gas tax, which is why you kind of see that fluctuation. But 7 cents is pretty standard for Pasco, Pinellas, and Hillsborough. And not standard, that is what it is. Mm-hmm. And it is, 7 cents is actually pretty standard around the state. Down south, they have it much higher. Up north, it's actually a little lower, depending on where you are. But kind of Central Florida is right around 7 cents, with Hernando being at 9 cents. If we were to add 5 cents onto that, we'd be at 12 cents. We would be significantly higher than all of the surrounding counties.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, in an effort of full disclosure, because we got to go by the numbers, they're saying that this would cost the average motorist about $37.50 a year is what they said that would cost the average motorist.
It would cost us much more.
And that's actually kind of my point. The average motorist doesn't actually drive a whole terrible amount, but there's a lot of people that have jobs that require them to drive a lot, and those jobs don't necessarily give people the money back for driving. Right. This is going to increase the small mom and pop businesses. It's going to increase their operating expenses, which they're just going to come back on you for. I mean, it's again,
and they have to.
People pay taxes, companies don't pay taxes.
Right.
Because companies pass that along to the consumer because they're in it to make money. They're not in it to, they're in it they're in it to feed their families.
They do this, and I think this is really disingenuous the way they do it. Well, it's going to cost the average motorist $37.50 a year. And most people will look at that and say, oh, well, that's not so bad. But what they don't tell you is that what about all these small or medium-sized businesses that have a few trucks on the road for their business? Mm-hmm. Now, those people are going to pay a significant amount more because they're not driving like the average motorist. They're driving much more miles, and they're doing it for 5, 6, 7, 10 trucks. Mm-hmm. So now those people are either going to have to lay someone off because that's going to be someone's salary for the year. The increase in their gas taxes is going to be the equivalent to someone's salary.
Yeah, well, maybe even 2 or 3 people.
Maybe even 2 or 3 people, depending on, if they're a medium-sized business, you're going to look at 2 or 3 people. Now, they're either going to have to lay people off, increase the price to the consumer, or if they were about to expand, not expand. Mm-hmm. So what this does is mean less jobs. This one gas tax means less jobs for people in Pasco. People are going to go somewhere else. Businesses are going to move and say, I can't afford it here anymore. I have 20 trucks on the road. I can't afford that. Where I can go into Tarpon Springs and I'm in Holiday, running my business out of Holiday, and I can move my business 3 miles south and hire 2 more people. And that's what you're going to see happen. And there's always these unintended consequences when we're talking about these things that the politicians are never going to tell you. Because they're going to say, well, can't you afford $37 more to make sure that the roads are improved? Well, of course, every person is going to say, well, I guess $37 isn't that bad. But what they're not going to tell you is how many businesses have to lay off people or not hire someone because of their tax, or how many businesses we're going to lose to Pinellas County of businesses that are operating right on the Pinellas-Pasco line that are now going to move their business, and we're going to lose all of their tax revenue. They don't talk about those things in here, but that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, it is. It is exactly what's going to happen, and it's one of the reasons why if you're listening to the show in Clearwater or in Tampa or even in Newport Richey, it's so important that you start focusing on your local government, because these people are the first level of government that is here to get as much money out of you as they possibly can, and that they are doing this to they're going to claim that they're doing this to make life better for you. But in all reality, they're doing it to make life better for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was funny that I was the Daily Caller, which it's weird to mention this when we're talking about something, a local issue. But the Daily Caller had reposted a Milton Friedman interview that he did with Donahue back in the like late 70s, early 80s. Is that this is like right when Milton Friedman put out his book Free to Choose. Which I got to tell you, after like listening to Milton Friedman and like what he was saying back in the day, I actually do blame people that have been around voting for a long time even more, because like you have totally been warned. It ain't like people that weren't trying to tell you. I mean, you know, Milton Friedman went on Donahue, and at the time, Donahue was like the biggest talk show.
That was the biggest show.
Donahue was Oprah, you know.
Yeah.
And he comes on and he explains it better than most people could ever explain it. Because basically what he talks about is because what Phil Donahue basically said to Milton Friedman is, like, when you see all the bad things that happen in the world and you see all the wanting and the difference between the haves and the have-nots, did you ever question capitalism? Like Donahue was blaming capitalism, and he was blaming greed. And the way Milton explains it is like, well, who's not greedy? Do you think that the commissars in the Soviet Union aren't greedy? You know, do you think that Cuba's not greedy? Do you think these people aren't greedy? You know, what is greed anyway? Greed is people looking out for their own self-interest, right? And he's like, well, the other guy's always greedy, not us, right? Exactly. And basically what Milton Friedman was saying in this is that, look, I don't trust any of y'all to actually put together, to put society together. Because where are you going to find these angelic creatures that are going to put society together for all of us? And I really thought it's really one of those just very telling things. And it's also, like, if you look at what Milton Friedman tried to do even back then, this guy was really trying to sound the alarms. And while people were claiming to be listening to him, like Reagan claimed to listen to him, he claimed to like Milton Friedman, and because, you know, Milton Friedman never worked for never like long-term worked for any of the presidents or any politicians, but he was an advisor at times. Like, he would come in and give advice and stuff, and even he would admit that most of the time they never took his advice. You've been warned. You've been warned about this stuff, and you know, you chose to not listen. It's almost like a kid. You know what? If you catch a kid smoking a cigarette, you make him finish the pack, right? Well, you guys got caught smoking, and now we're having to finish like a truckload. We got a truckload of cigarettes in this thing, man. This ain't fun. I'm not having any fun.
I'm
not having any fun. But it's great to see that, you know, this information's been out there. And the American public as a whole has chosen to ignore it. And both the Democrats and the Republicans have been bringing us down the same road, which is, and again, it was weird last night, the things that came up. You know, one of the other things I was reading last night was Ron Paul's letter that he wrote to the Republican Party in 1989.
Yeah, in the 80s.
And if you read this, like, here's the thing. People go, well, we should do what Ron Paul says. I'm going to tell you what Ron Paul said after the break.
Well, we're going to talk to Brandon after the break.
Oh, you know what? Then in the third hour, we're going to do that. Then we'll do it.
So join us in the third hour to hear what Ron Paul said.
Yeah, after the break is Brandon Jones from the Global Dispatch. Sorry about that. We'll make sure we get to the right things here. So, yeah, after the break, we're going to listen. Or after the third hour, we'll listen to that. After the break, Brandon will be on. You're listening to Liberty Underground.
this is Gary Johnston, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with cameras. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
At Auto Body Unlimited, they work with their hands and heart to provide outstanding high-quality work and customer service. They specialize in European automobile collision repair work and refinish. At Auto Body Unlimited, they bring your car up to manufacturer standards, or they will buy your car back. They have dedicated equipment and use the same processes and paint that you would get from the factory. At Auto Body Unlimited, they don't work for the insurance company, they work for you. Auto Body Unlimited is located at 1300 Sunset Point Road in Clearwater. Call 727-443-4041 or on the web at autobodyunlimited.com. Visit Auto Body Unlimited for all of your repair needs. They work for you. If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-9883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at tacklemyticket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
You know Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street, just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
When the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them. Auto Owners Insurance has been recognized as highest in customer satisfaction with the auto insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power and Associates. For award information, go to jdpower.com. Call Row Insurance in Newport Richey today at 727-376-0030.
Welcome back to Liberty Underground. If you'd like to call the program, you can call the Refresh Telecom lines at 727-565-1787. That's 727-565-1787. You know, it would make more sense if I actually put the number right there so I could still face the mic at the same time.
Well, we can put it in like the top corner over there.
Well, I would prefer it on that wall.
Well, there's nothing you can't put it on that wall because there's nothing to write on that wall. We're not going to write on the walls.
No, I'm not suggesting that we necessarily write on the wall. I'm not necessarily that we write on the walls there, but online with us right now, our favorite person that we like to talk to every week, Brandon Jones from the Global Dispatch. Brandon, good morning, sir.
How is everyone?
We're doing well. How are you doing, sir?
Good. Oh, I'm very, very blessed. Thank you so much.
I wanted to ask you this question, and we talked about it in the first hour, but I just wanted to bring it up to you because I wanted to get your take on it. Did you see the Obamacare ads?
Yeah, that was kind of poor taste, right?
Yeah. Well, did you hold on? Because you live in the Tampa Bay area as well. You've seen the Bright House commercials, right?
Like Hello Friend.
Like Hello Friend. You know, like the ones that are the beginning of Idiocracy.
Well, I think that, and obviously, sad to say, that's the target audience, right? And we're looking at 18 and 25-year-olds. How do we lock them in, convince them that they need to pay into the insurance they don't need, they need to pay higher premiums than they really should have to, because we need that money to pay for people that have pre-existing conditions. That's really it. So we will try anything and everything. If we got to have some guy smoking pot, I won't put it beyond them. They'll run that kind of ad.
Do you think that the population that is in that category, do you think that they are, and for lack of a better word, do you think that they're dumb enough to buy the ad?
Well, I think that they're already bought in. I mean, look at the demographics. The demographics are already showing that they're aligned with this guy. They're aligned with the party. They're aligned with this agenda. Most of them believe in Obamacare. The Occupy Wall Street had a very similar theme of the government should take care of me. So it's not really a stretch for an ad like this to work, because it's sort of kind of just cementing and reinforcing the stuff. And if it makes them laugh and giggle, that's kind of the whole Comedy Central part, right? It's all cemented. It's all that same sort of approach, and it's working very, very much on that demographic.
Oh, man, boy, I hope you're wrong.
I hope I'm wrong, too. I really do. But unfortunately, when I meet and talk to people, the biggest thing that I still find, and again, you and I talked about this off air, about how apathetic I feel about Obamacare, because I've been dealing with it for so long. It's people are just so not engaged until it actually shows up in their paycheck or their employer or hitting them in the face with their insurance company. They're not even going to deal with it. They're kind of like, yeah, whatever. And it's really sad that so much of our population they don't care. They got a video game to play, they got a party to go to, hey man, Friday's coming, and that's their priorities.
Well, no, and that's true. But let me ask the question a different way. Maybe not a different way, but when you go back to when you were 25 or when you were coming out of high school and stuff like that, the fact that you were waiting for Friday waiting for Friday to go party, and that you were drinking at night and stuff like that, I don't even consider that to necessarily be a bad thing. Because when I was in the Marine Corps, so I guess it was a little bit different at that time. Because as soon as I got out, I went to go working for old Uncle Sam there. But like, we would go out and we would drink heavily and then go to work the next day. Because when you were younger, you could actually do that more effectively than. I mean, I can't do that now. I go drinking on a Friday. I go drinking on a Friday night. I need Saturday to recover.
Yeah.
But do you think that mentality is something that's been going on for a long time? I don't think that part of the mentality is new. You're right in the fact that people are looking for things like Obamacare. But like, if you look at the Sarvis election, I'll give you an example of that. The places that he's gaining is actually in the youth. So the youth vote is going more libertarian, though.
Well, okay, I won't argue with you at all, and I actually, can tell you that I made the same kind of mistakes. I had the same kind of approach when I was in my 20s. I could care less, absolutely, of politics until we got to 9/11. I was that guy. Grew up Democrat, just a program voter, and that was it. But I think the problem with Obamacare is the Republicans are so incompetent, and we still haven't really heard. Is there even a plan as an alternative? I mean, when you have to use Boehner as your spokesperson to even discuss a House bill, we're already behind the eight ball, because he's a buffoon and he's a hypocrite, and it makes no sense at all. There's no hope, in my opinion, of really unraveling this thing and trying to put forth bills. So when we start to look at if the House can even move forward, the Senate's not going to ratify anything. So the best case scenario is we're at a stalemate with Congress as it is now with Obamacare, and he can kind of do whatever he wants to do. I found the authoritative nature of his speech very, very disturbing, because it was it's all about politics, and my headline reflects that, because it says, hey, let's kick the can until after the election. That's not the headline you're going to read anywhere else, because that's not what he said, but that's what he's saying. He's saying, look, blame me, don't blame Congress. I didn't know I was lying to you. These insurance companies, they can just give you like a year, and then we'll deal with it in a year. Translation, after the election. So the political gameplay and all that, we're kind of at a stalemate.
Okay, all right, no, and that's a very fair point there. That really is, and you're right. It's nothing but politics up there. They treat the American people like a game, and I think that the part that is kind of sad there is now you do have millions of people losing their health insurance. Like, you've created a system in which
because we went through the Florida numbers earlier, is that Danielle, how many people have lost insurance in Florida?
300,000.
And how many people have gotten insurance through the exchange?
3,571.
So, like, we're going backwards in the number of people that are covered. They're not trying to cover the uninsured. They're trying to make sure the insured don't have coverage. You know?
And that's kind of part of the gameplay, right? We want to make the entire goal of this, and I go back to, and I give Dennis Kucinich the most credit of any politician, because he wrote a letter to his constituents explaining this is nothing more than a path to get us to a one-payer system. You know, support us. This is what we're doing. This is the end game. That was back in 2010. So when you start to see the end result here of creating legislation that has made your insurance policy null and void, there's so many requirements and things that you have to do. And I made the analogy this way. I said, look, people love the car insurance analogy. Okay, so imagine tomorrow there's a law passed that now you have to have an insurance policy on your car that includes oil changes. Don't you agree that your policy is going to be raised tremendously? Most people will, yeah, of course. Exactly. That's what's happening. You're now being required to put in for a whole bunch of stuff that is not even something that you may be interested in. But you have to put it in because people with pre-existing conditions, people that weren't having those coverages, are now going to have them. You have to put that in. Your current policy is canceled. It's null and void. You can't use that policy anymore. You have to have a new policy, and that's what these insurance companies are doing. And for him to kick the can a year, it puts these companies in a real quandary, because the people that need the revenue to come in to pay for these people that will jump on board, even if it is a small number. That 3,000 of people, those people are expensive patients to cover for whatever reason. Maybe it's a pre-existing condition, medication, whatever. They need the revenue to be able to cover the services those people need. And if people get a pass on having to jump on board, the revenue's not there. So it's a lose-lose for the American people and true health care.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And hopefully what they do is they break the system enough to where we actually fix it. And we actually will fix it with having less insurance and not more insurance. The funny part is that the fix is that there is no spoon, and that we need less insurance, and you need to go to your doctor and pay for the services that you get and only get something like catastrophic coverage, and that the government does need to do a lot more to just get out of the way than anything else.
And just so the listeners know, I don't agree with Alex at all. I say that they will allow the system to completely collapse on itself, and the Canadian-type system is the best-case scenario that we'll end up with.
Oh.
They will manipulate these doctors, and they will threaten these doctors with what's called their UPIN number, their registrations, and their licenses in order to get any money. And if they don't play ball, they're not going to be allowed to be in that cash system. I'm telling you now, they will not be allowed to keep their license if they go to the cash way. Now, there might be ways around that. There might be homeopathic-type things that they will allow, whatever people can kind of, back away from, traditional medicine towards something else. I don't know, but that's exactly the model. That's every source that I've ever talked to in researching this. That's exactly where we're headed.
Okay, no, and look, and I hope you're wrong, but I understand why you're going down that road. I do understand why you're doing that, and I do think it's part of it is actually a race, in my opinion. And what I mean by that is, you have to get in so many people that are opting out and that are going this way that they can't bust everybody. Again, that's just my opinion on it, but I do understand why you're saying what you're saying, Brandon. So I'll have to.
Trust me, it's not what I want to see happen, folks. Just so we're clear, this is not my opinion of what I want to see happen. This is just me being the press guy telling you what I see in the compass of things.
Yeah, no, very good, Brandon. What else is going on out there that really stuck to you this week?
Well, I doubt anyone's heard, but our president was actually listed on an indictment in Egypt as in conjunction and partnership with the Muslim Brotherhood and several of the Muslim Brotherhood leaders and radical clerics in Egypt as an official war criminal. So just in case you thought that Bush was the only one who had that on his resume, the president can now put that next to the Nobel Peace Prize. He's officially a war criminal in Egypt.
I wonder how many Nobel Peace Prize winners have been indicted for war crimes.
Well, Arafat comes to mind, and there's probably a couple, yeah.
Again, just proving that the Nobel Peace Prize means absolutely nothing anymore.
Yeah, matter of fact, if anybody
like a little war criminal statue that they get, they can put them next to each other.
Right.
The thing that is funny is I actually think that if somebody wins the Nobel Peace Prize, you really need to look at their history to find out what they did or what they're planning on doing, because it probably ain't very good.
Yeah, I think you need to, like, that person, you need to, like, maybe stay away from, because they're going to start killing people in the near future.
Yeah. And I'm surprised, because I haven't heard anything about this, about the indictment on there. Have you read enough to know what they're alleging that he did?
Well, he's just, because he's a supporter and was such a vocal advocate for Muslim Brotherhood, for President Morsi, for the leadership thereof, they're citing all of the incredible violence, human rights violations, persecution of Christians. There's a whole litany of things we can talk about with Egypt, and because he was so complicit in partnering with the Muslim Brotherhood, he's listed as a co-conspirator, basically.
Wow. I mean, way to go,
It
Egypt.
doesn't really change anything. They just won't land the plane there now. It's kind of like when the Obamas don't go to Turkey. They're not really welcome there. They don't get off the plane. They don't go there. It's just kind of how it works, folks. Sorry. He can't even go to his, quote, Kenyan country that everyone claims that he was supposedly born. He's a war criminal there. So he can't even go there.
Right.
Our president's loved around the world. Boy, isn't that nice, huh? Well, didn't you think the Nobel Peace Prize winner would kind of quit drone bombing people? But I'm just saying. So now Danielle has something that's going on here that's on the globaldispatch.com. Go ahead, Danielle. Ask Brandon about this.
Well, I actually had a couple things that I really liked up here. Of course, they're all kind of Christian based, anyways, because there was actually a very kind of well known atheist that is actually paying for the medical bills of a pastor that was beat up by another well-known atheist, and he is paying for all the legal fees and the medical fees. So I actually was looking at that, and then but I actually have another story pulled up that says scientists prove God exists, an Austrian math model, a MacBook, and now artificial intelligence.
What's that all about?
There's a little group of Sheldons. So that's my name for the extreme brilliant scientists. They're in little rooms together. So for those of you that are keeping up with my Big Bang nomenclature, there's a little room of Sheldons that got together with an algorithm that's proving a very old theorem that talks about, therefore God must exist. And using different type of computer simulations and number crunching that can only be done with a computer. It wasn't the thing that could be, quote, proven before. They've proven that out. And it really kind of, when you start to read their paper and kind of where they're going, it's very much into one of the arguments that I've always had that kind of changed my life personally was, when you start to look at nature, there's so many natural laws that are very, very specific. So, for instance, we have a certain amount of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere. We can't have too much, we can't have too little. And we can make a whole list of those things. Oxygen, carbon dioxide, gravity, all these different laws of chemistry and physics and all these different things of nature. When you put them combined, you start to get to this mathematical impossibility of it happening randomly. You start to get to this, there's so much structure and there's so much organization in chemistry and physics. Somebody had to put this together. And I told an atheist who was kind of aggressive towards me, I said, look, I'm easier to believe in your alien theory before I believe nothing, because there's just too much organization and structure. So their mathematical algorithm has that same sort of theme to it, a principle to it, of the organization of things, therefore there must be a creator, there must be God, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a very interesting take on it, that you go back to say that the odds of this happening are so low that it's possible that something had to design it. Now, I'm looking at Greg here. I really do want to know Greg's take on this, because Greg is definitely, I have the ability of being agnostic, so I don't know. So I freely don't know what's going on here. But Greg, I just want to hear what you got to say right now.
No, well, I just
remember we're on Tan Talk.
I just disagree that, because I can't wrap my head around it, there's got to be something else that I can use to explain it, to wrap my head around it.
But I think what they're saying is that that they looked at it. It's not that they can't explain it, but what they're saying is that it can't be random. Right. It has to be something that did this. You know what I'm saying? The difference is, it's not that it's random. It's that there's no way that this happened without something designing it.
There's no way all of these things could have been created at random, but yet work so perfectly together that mathematically it's impossible for that to have been random.
Well, I think that's
And
the
Greg,
problem is that random
and
is
Greg,
the
like
wrong word.
I told my friend, it's like, look, I'm okay if you don't believe in my God. I'm just like, I'm more of there has to be some sort of mind, there has to be some sort of organizational planning to help put all this together, because we have there's well over 100 sort of mathematical, physics, and chemical constants that you can't change even a little bit, or we wouldn't have life. That's kind of the issue that we come to, and that's, like I said, I work in the science field. You guys know me personally. That this is one of the things that really changed my life, because it's sort of like, wow, I'm kind of a math and science guy, and I even kind of look at it and go, well, there has to be something to this, and that's kind of one of the things that was the pivot point for me personally.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think where my disagreement comes is that I think random is not the right way to describe it. I think that, we say random, so we think it's like we throw it up in the air and it just happens. Mm-hmm. And so I think that random isn't necessarily the best way to describe it, and it's still coming down. We're still speaking in absolutes here because of what we don't understand. We say, well, then it has to be this. It has to be a mind that created it. Why does it have to be? I mean, we are so insignificant and incapable of understanding a lot of things. I don't have to assume that anything has to be, regardless of how well I understand it.
And it is because of this discussion right here that I am agnostic. I have no idea what's going on when it comes to a lot of this stuff. That is one of the reasons that I don't think that, and again, this is just my own viewpoint on it. Nobody can know for sure.
Right.
I mean, unless you've seen something that I haven't seen, and then that's very possible. Look, if there is a being out there, or a God or whatever you want to call it, and he does have the ability to enlighten some by presenting himself or herself or itself to you, and I can't see that, then it's hard for me to have faith in that, and why the other person doesn't. But at the same time, it's very interesting. I just wish people wouldn't use it to kill each other, but that's just me.
Well, as a Christian, I would also like for people to not use it to kill each other.
I'll tell you the other thing, and this is where I actually feel bad for some of the religious people, is that others use your faith,
yes,
in ways in which the creator of the faith would never have wanted. I mean, it would, Jesus would have never wanted it to go down the way that it's gone down with a lot of places. When they've used his name to do things, he would have, from the limited knowledge that I have, because I'm very limited in this, I don't think he would have wanted that. So, but I'm sorry, Brandon, go ahead.
He basically said so, and for us that are Christians, if you actually study it, you start to realize, how much the humans have been as much of a problem, if not more of a problem, than what we believe is evil as well, because they, like you say, in the name of my religion, and they've hijacked Christianity several times throughout history and done things for their own benefit, for their own power and wealth and those kinds of things. And it is very frustrating, because it's not something that I personally did or can control or undo, but I'm still held to the same comparison.
I'm looked at as the same type of person as they are because of their actions.
Yeah.
And it's not the other way around, because their actions are so over the top. And I do, and I had a pastor years ago that said, people aren't Christians because, number one, they've never met a Christian, or number two, they've met a Christian. Mm-hmm. And that's, I always look at, because I feel like more people would have faith if they weren't beaten over the head with it by the wrong Christians.
Let me say something else here, is that I am lucky in the aspect of some of the people that, and I've probably never said this to some of the people here, but I'll say it right now. I mean, since I was in saying nice things last night, let me go ahead and say it again right now. Some of the people that I've met that are people of faith are actually the kind of people that I would expect to find, not the other way around. Like the ones that really are, people like Danielle, like Brandon. Brandon's another great example of a person that, in the years that we've been talking, I mean, he really is a person that would, if you were going to use a representation of, well, this is the kind of people that believe in what I believe in, mentioning Danielle or Brandon or Adrian or Nappy or a lot of these other people, that would be the people that I would point to, because those people seem to understand it the way that I think it should be understood. And I feel bad for those people because they have to deal with the other ones that use it as the cloak. And that's sad, but it's a sad state of affairs of where we're at. And I don't know how it's fixed, but I mean, it's in one aspect, I'm actually kind of glad to know people like Brandon and Danielle and Adrian and Nappy, and to get into these discussions with these guys, because we kind of talk about it at times, especially if you're driving down the road for 3 hours. I mean, you got to figure out something.
7 hours in the car.
Yeah, you got to figure out something to talk about.
Well, and it's just, and it is hard because when you live in a world where, people will try to point things out and they expect you to judge them. I don't know the people at Westboro Baptist Church. I'm personally not going to stand next to them. But to be judged by what they do is unfair to me, but it is kind of the nature where it is. I can love Greg and be a kind person to Greg, even though he completely disagrees with me on this. Exactly. It doesn't affect my life one bit. I can still love and care him. If he needs something, he knows he could call if he needed to. It's okay. It's part of who I am. It's not about just beating somebody over the head. And unfortunately, many of us grew up in that environment, and we've seen that. And we've seen, let me just say, I have a lot of apologies I wish I could make to people where I made those mistakes.
Yeah.
Because you get enthusiastic or passionate about a topic, and you can hurt people's feelings even unintentionally. And it is it's a very difficult thing.
And see, that's the thing. I try and keep it respectful because I like to have these discussions. And just because people disagree with me doesn't mean that I shouldn't respect their opinion. And see, that's part of the problem I have with religion. I don't really have a problem with what you believe. I have a problem with you condemning other people and thinking that it is incumbent on you to change other people's minds and force them to believe what you believe. That I have a problem.
I believe that it is, as a Christian, it is, just like in politics, me knowing gives me the responsibility of having to spread it. And I believe as a Christian, the same thing. Me having faith means that I should at least be able to share that with other people so that they could, have the same faith. But that's very different than being mad at you for not, or forcing you to agree with me.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's almost like
very good.
Now, the website is theglobaldispatch.com. His name is Brandon. But before you go, I just wanted to let you know that on your website you have commercials that show up, and these are not ones that you have any control over whatsoever. So I'm not blaming you for this one. But
I'm really going to be worried about what's in your cookies because it's based on what's in your cookies. So be careful who you're condemning here because it could be what you watch and do and not me.
That really sucks then because what it says is this is an ad paid for by Mitch McConnell, Senate Committee 14, and then it's a picture of Rand Paul. And it says Mitch McConnell is a proven conservative who stands strong for Kentucky. I just thought it to be humorous as all get out that the dude that was part of the bailouts is now considered a strong conservative for Kentucky because of Rand Paul.
That's fine. That's funny because my ad is Amazon.com and back and neck pain.
I actually have also an ad for a Subaru Forester, which I've never wanted a Subaru Forester. Or there is an Old Navy ad.
There is an Old Navy.
Navigate pages and talk about the ads because it is fascinating and it is very entertaining actually to do that.
Well, hey, on Wednesday we actually did I Side With, and we did an hour and answered all the questions on I Side With. I thought that was actually pretty fun show.
Yeah, that was good.
So, all right, Brandon. Hey, we thank you very much. Thanks for calling in, brother.
All right, guys, take care. Talk hard.
Talk hard. Oh, I love talking to Brandon. You know what? I actually would like to, and maybe next week's, we might continue that conversation about the about religion.
I would love to.
I would love to.
That conversation.
I actually really do like it, and I think that it's an important conversation to have with people who are,
Well, we ran over.
I guess so. You didn't give us any signal.
I was sitting there. Wrap it up.
No, he was.
Oh, then I missed it. I missed it. Then I was reading the screen.
Look, we'll take a break. That's funny though. We'll take a break and we'll come back. I'm gonna pull up the old Ron Paul letter. We'll start the third hour with the Ron Paul letter. I think that'll be fun anyway. So I took my headphones off too at that point, not remembering that we're actually on YouTube as well. Oh, that's too much fun.
We're taking a break then.
See, that's the problem. We get in great conversations and we lose track of time.
And then we have to stop.
Well, yeah, you know why? Because honestly, I might actually put Brandon on. Maybe we'll put Brandon on to go longer sometimes. Maybe next week's show. Maybe we'll do Brandon for the third hour.
Yeah.
I'm
To have an hour-long conversation about it, because it takes time.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think it's an important conversation to have. I actually do, and I think that
We were supposed to have it a couple weeks ago.
we were, and I think that to be able to have it with people who definitely are on all ends of the spectrum, you know, people in the middle on both, you know, atheists, Christians, someone who's agnostic, but all respect each other and work well together. I think we can have a really nice conversation and respectful conversation about it, and have the, you know, the whole philosophical debate about it. So I actually think we should do it.
And just to clear up the confusion, because I know it happens a lot, I am not an atheist. Everybody seems to think I am, but I'm not.
You know, that's my apologies, and I thought you were.
No, I'm not. I understand why people think
Right.
it, because if you don't get deeper, if we don't actually have the discussion and get deeper into what I believe, it's very easy to say, well, he doesn't believe there's anything.
Right.
But that's not the case. We didn't get nearly far enough
Right,
in that
into it,
conversation
right.
for me to relay that. But you know,
Oh.
from the position I took, I can understand why people would go, hey, he's an atheist. But I'm not. I just don't believe what most people do.
All right. Let's,
Yeah.
let's
Well,
go
I
ahead.
think I think we'll have the conversation next week.
Yeah, we'll have to get into it more. All right. We're taking a break.
But we're still coming back this week because
Yeah,
we
we're
have to go
coming
over
back.
the Ron Paul letter.
Yes,
Exactly.
we've got the third and final hour coming up.
All right, guys. We're listening to Liberty Underground.
Hi, this is Gary Johnson, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with camera. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
At Auto Body Unlimited, they work with their hands and heart to provide outstanding high-quality work and customer service. They specialize in European automobile collision repair work and refinish. At Auto Body Unlimited, they bring your car up to manufacturer standards, or they will buy your car back. They have dedicated equipment and use the same processes and paint that you would get from the factory. At Auto Body Unlimited, they don't work for the insurance company, they work for you. Auto Body Unlimited is located at 1300 Sunset Point Road in Clearwater. Call 727-443-4041 or on the web at autobodyunlimited.com. Visit Auto Body Unlimited for all of your repair needs. They work for you. If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-9883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at tacklemyticket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com. facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
You know Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
When the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them. Auto Owners Insurance has been recognized as highest in customer satisfaction with the auto insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power and Associates. For award information, go to jdpower.com. Call Row Insurance in Newport Richey today at 727-376-0030.
Welcome back. Hour number 3, Liberty Underground. If you'd like to call the Refresh Telecom lines, the number is 727-565-1787. That's 727-565-1787. Let me ask a question.
No.
All right, I'm just packing up and going home now. Do you think that the Ron Paul of 2000 of the 80s would support Mitch McConnell?
No.
No.
Okay, I know that. Now, a lot of people have said, and I know we've gone back and forth on the Democrat Republican thing and Libertarian or which way do you go, and people go, well, I'm following Ron Paul. Well, you know what? I'm following Ron Paul too.
Just the 80s version.
I'm going to follow the 80s version of Ron Paul. The big hair version. The big hair version. Actually, I don't think...
The glam rock Ron Paul.
Yeah, the glam rock Ron Paul. I'm going to read to you a letter that Ron Paul wrote. And he wrote this in March or April of 1987. Following is the text of a letter sent to Frank Fahrenkopf. We had Russians going on even in the 80s, people. I can't even say this guy's name, but he was chairman of the Republican National Committee by Ron Paul, former member of Congress from Texas, and now a member of the Libertarian Party. As a lifelong Republican, it saddens me to have to write this letter. My parents believed in the Republican Party and its free enterprise philosophy, and that's the way I was brought up. At age 21 in 1956, I cast my first vote for Ike and the entire Republican slate. Because of my frustration with the direction in which this country was going, I became a political activist and ran for the U.S. Congress in 1974. Even with Watergate, my loyalty, optimism, and hope for the future were tied to the Republican Party and its message of free enterprise, limited government, and balanced budgets. Eventually, I was elected to the U.S. Congress 4 times as a Republican. This permitted me a first-hand look at the inner workings of the U.S. Congress, seeing both the benefits and partisan frustrations that guide its shaky proceedings. I found that although representative government still exists, special interest control of the legislative process clearly presents a danger to our constitutional system of government. Boy, as much as things change, they've stayed the same. And he didn't write that part in there, so I'm sorry. That was my own personal commentary, which you will see from time to time, because I read it again last night. In 1976, I was impressed with Ronald Reagan's program and was one of the 4 members of Congress who endorsed his candidacy. In 1980, unlike other Republican office holders in Texas, I again supported our president in his efforts. Since 1981, however, I have gradually and steadily grown weary of the Republican Party's efforts to reduce the size of the federal government. Oh, was the Reagan Revolution a failure? Since then, Ronald Reagan and the Republican Party have given us skyrocketing deficits and astoundingly a doubled national debt. How is this the party of balanced budgets with control of the White House and the Senate, accumulated red ink greater than all previous administrations put together? Oh, that sounds familiar. Tip O'Neill, although part of the problem, cannot alone be blamed. Tax revenues are up 59% since 1980. Because of our economic growth? No. During Carter's 4 years, we had growth of 37.2%. Reagan's 5 years have given us 30.7%. The new revenues are due to 4 giant Republican tax increases since 1981. Oh, you mean they raised taxes? Oh.
All Republicans rightly chastise Carter for his $38 billion deficit, but they ignore and even defend deficits of $220 billion. As government spending has grown 10.4% per year since Reagan took office, while the federal payroll has zoomed by 250,000 bureaucrats. You know, if this was Obama, they'd have called him a Keynesian. Despite the supply-sider Keynesian claim that deficits don't matter, the debt presents a grave threat to our country, and this is when it was $220 billion. Thanks to the president and Republican Party, we have lost the chance to reduce the deficit and the spending in a non-crisis fashion. Even worse, big government has been legitimized in a way that Democrats never could have accomplished. It was tragic to listen to Ronald Reagan on the 1986 campaign trail bragging about his high spending on farm subsidies, welfare, warfare, etc. in his futile effort to hold on to control of the Senate. Instead of cutting some of the immeasurable waste in the Department of Defense, it has gotten worse, with the inevitable result that we are less secure today. And he's saying this in 87 or 88, by the way. Mm-hmm. Reagan's foreign aid expenditures exceeded Eisenhower's, Kennedy's, Johnson's, Nixon's, Ford's, and Carter's put together. Foreign intervention has exploded since 1980. Only an end to military welfare for foreign governments, plus a curtailment of our unconstitutional commitment abroad, will enable us to really defend ourselves and solve our financial problems. Boy, love this guy back in the 80s. Amidst the failure of the Graham-Rudman gimmick, we hear the president and the Republican Party call for a balanced budget amendment and a line item veto. This is only a smokescreen. President Reagan, as governor of California, had a line item veto and virtually never used it. As president, he has failed to exercise his constitutional responsibility to veto spending. Instead, he has encouraged it. Monetary policy has been disastrous as well. The 5 Reagan appointees to the Federal Reserve Board have advocated even faster monetary inflation than Chairman Volcker. And this is the 4th straight year of double-digit increases. The chickens have yet to come home to roost, but they will, and America will suffer from a Reaganomics that is nothing but warmed-over Keynesianism. Whew. Candidate Reagan in 1980 correctly opposed draft registration, yet when he had the chance to abolish it, he reneged. As he did on his pledge to abolish the Department of Education and Energy, or to work against abortion. Under the guise of attacking drug use and money laundering, the Reagan administration has systematically attacked personal and financial privacy. The effect has been to victimize innocent Americans who wish to conduct their private lives without government snooping. Jeez. Should people really be put on a suspected drug dealer list because they transfer $3,000 at one time? Reagan's urine testing of Americans without probable cause is a clear violation of our civil liberties, and as are his proposals for extensive lie detector tests. Under Reagan, the IRS has grown bigger, richer, and more powerful, and more arrogant. In the words of the founders of our country, our government has sent hither swarms of tax gatherers to harass our people and eat out their substance. His officers jailed the innocent Greg Hansen, with the president refusing to pardon a great American whose only crime was to defend the Constitution. Reagan's new tax reform gives even more power to the IRS. Far from making taxes fairer or simpler, it deceitfully raises more revenue for the government to waste. Knowing this administration's record, I wasn't surprised by its Libyan disinformation campaign, Israeli-Iranian arms for hostage swaps, or illegal funding of the Contras. All this has contributed to my disenchantment with the Republican Party and helped me make up my mind. I want to totally disassociate myself from the policies that have given us unprecedented deficits, massive monetary inflation, indiscriminate military spending, and irrational and unconstitutional foreign policy, zooming foreign aid, and the... Man, I don't even know what this word is. I'm sorry, the EXALTATION?
Exaltation.
Exaltation, okay. Exaltation of international banking and the attack on our personal liberties and privacy. After years of trying to work through the Republican Party both in and out of government, I have reluctantly concluded that my efforts must be carried on outside the Republican Party.
Republicans know that the Democrat agenda is dangerous to our political and economic health. Yet, in the past 6 years, Republicans have expanded its worst aspects and called them their own. The Republican Party has not reduced the size of government, and it has become big government's best friend. If Ronald Reagan couldn't or wouldn't balance the budget, which Republican leaders on the horizon can we possibly expect to do so? There is no credibility left for the Republican Party as a force to reduce the size of government. That is the message of the Reagan years. I conclude that one must look to other avenues if a successful effort is ever to be achieved in reversing Americans' direction. I therefore resign my membership in the Republican Party and enclose my membership card. Now, when I read it last night, the reason I wanted to read it again today is, and I got to tell you, Danielle, sometimes you are a mind reader. I mean, you really are. I was totally going to go to your article.
And I knew you would, which is why I pulled it up.
Amazing. Amazing. I'm just going to say amazing. Here's the thing. Ron Paul figured it out, that it wasn't going to happen. Now, he left and then he came back.
Right.
But the only reason that he came back, well, it was too hard to do it outside there and whatever. This was without the age of the internet and without the full coming around of what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a failure, though. He recognized it then. Now, here's the thing. Was he lying then?
No.
Or was he lying? Or is he lying now? Again, I don't think he's lying then. But these problems are not only still there, they're worse.
They're bigger.
And in the 2000s, when Bush took over, you got to remember, after Reagan, it was Bush.
Yes.
After Bush,
Senior.
it was Bush Senior. Then after Bush, it was Clinton. Now, during the Clinton time frame, the Republicans took the House, and they had the House and the Senate, both of them. And with a Democrat president in the
White House,
in the White House by Clinton, and the Republicans control the House of the Senate, that was the first time in a long time that we actually did balance the budget. Now, we didn't cut spending to balance the budget. We grew enough to where the budget would balance.
Right.
Is that a good way of saying it?
Yeah, and it was an artificial inflation as well. So, and a lot of the things, and I do, as much as people say, well, you know, when Newt was the Speaker of the House and Clinton was in office, they balanced the budget and we even had a surplus. And they are correct, they did. But it was those practices that happened then that set up the housing bubble that burst.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, that's true.
So it was an artificial system that was happening there.
Well, but part of that, though, was also some, like getting rid of Glass-Steagall had something to do with that, too, though.
Absolutely.
So it wasn't all, don't get me wrong, it's a lot of different factors.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you know what? I'm going with the Ron Paul plan. Because the only plan that I've ever seen him actually put out is this plan.
That is actually the only plan that I've ever seen him actually put out.
Not the Jesse Benton plan.
Yeah. I've rejected the Jesse Benton plan from day one. But when you started reading that, and I'm like, that sounds really familiar, and it sounds really familiar to something I wrote this week.
Yeah. Now explain what you wrote this week.
This week, and this has kind of been the culmination of a few different conversations that I've had with a few different people online. You know, and people saying like, no, I need to reform my party, and, you know, and things like that. And, you know, this is the people who make the argument that you have to do it through the GOP. And I've had kind of little snippets of things that I've said to them. And then I had this question come up, and the question came up, why can't we work together? Because it just seems like Liberty Republicans and Libertarians are not only not working more and more together, they're working less and less together and starting to get a little more hostile to each other. And someone posed the question, how do we fix this? How do we work together? And as soon as I saw the question, I kind of looked at it and in my mind went, well, we can't.
No.
And so I wrote to him. And I wrote why we can't, and I expanded it a little to make it into an article because people kind of, like, it wasn't mean, it wasn't hostile, but it's kind of been a culmination of a lot of things. And what happens is we get invited to a lot of meetings. Alex and I do, and I'm sure a lot of other, you know, libertarians around the state get invited to these, and we're there with a lot of them. We get invited to these meetings to build these coalitions. And everybody says, let's put the ideology aside. Let's put that away. and build this coalition. And so the differences in our ideology is something that nobody's supposed to talk about, and we're supposed to build this coalition. And what happens is, because we don't ever talk about the differences and the reasons why there's animosity, the coalitions end up falling apart. And they fall apart because we're not talking about the big elephant in the room. And so I wrote the article of why we can't work together and why these coalitions break down and why it's never going to work. And this is why. Liberty Republicans and libertarians are fighting for two completely different things. Mm-hmm. Liberty Republicans are fighting to change a political party. And that is the only thing they're doing, is they're fighting for influence within the GOP and only within the GOP. They're essentially fighting for a seat at the table, but not a seat at the table in politics, a seat at the table within one political party. And that political party doesn't make up, like, even if you took all of the registered voters, you don't have a majority in the GOP because there's Democrats and independents and libertarians and all these other things. You don't have a majority, and you never will. So you're fighting for this influence within a political party. You're fighting for this seat at the table within a political party. And even if you had the numbers to win, which I'm going to go through, you don't, but even if you had the numbers to win, you still wouldn't win elections because you're only influencing a third of the people.
Right.
So libertarians find that to be a waste of time. And we not only find that to be a waste of time, we don't feel like we have enough time left to waste. And that's where you see a lot of our frustration. While you're saying, well, I'm going to take over my rec. Okay, but what about the legislation? What about the tyranny that is raining down on us from Tallahassee and DC? What are you doing about that? Well, as soon as we take over the Republican Party, then we'll worry about that. I don't have time for that. Our country doesn't have time for that. You're wasting time, and I don't have that time to waste with you. You want to waste that time? Go do it. That's your choice. But I don't have that kind of time to waste. I don't feel like our country has that time to waste.
Yep.
Well, here's the other thing, and I want to make sure I make this abundantly clear. I agree with unity. I agree that we need to be unified. I agree that we need to find ways to be able to work together. I've said this, and I know that some people are going to go, well, that's just not true, Alex. You don't believe that. I totally believe that. As a matter of fact, I so much believe that I sat down with a Republican to figure out a way to do it. And I wrote, I said we.
I know, that's not...
Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
I see. We found a way to make it work. I'm saying that. We found a way to make it work. If you choose to ignore that and treat it like a one-way street, like unity is only going to be done through the Republican Party, then you've made the decisions not be unified, not us. I'm done. Go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
But also when I went through this, I kind of broke down the numbers of what's going on in the GOP. And here's the reality of it, is that Liberty Republicans make up 12% of the Republican Party. Now, a couple years ago, that was 7%. So they are, you're on a little bit of an uptick. That's great. You're at 12%. So you've had a 5% influence over one political party. Evangelical Christians or people that consider themselves to be part of the Christian right, maybe not evangelicals, but part of the Christian right, make up 40%. That number's not going down, it's going up. Last year, 2 years ago, it was at 36%. So they're growing at a higher number than you in the GOP. They're the ones taking over. I didn't break that down into the article, but just so that people know, they're the ones taking over. You're outnumbered 4-1 by a group of people who will never change their views to your views because of their Christian beliefs. They will never change. And that's fine. And I understand why they won't. I think that they're wrong. I think they're looking at Christianity in a very skewed manner. But that's a fight. That's an argument for a different day. They will never change to your ways because of their faith. So there's 48% of the GOP you're never ever going to take over, and their numbers are growing faster than yours if you're a Liberty Republican. But what that also means is that the GOP is always going to be influenced to legislate morality in some way. Always. Because they have a large group that's on the religious right or Christian right or evangelical Christians. And that's fine. They can have that. Those Christians need a place as well. But that means that even legislatively, you're not going to agree with libertarians. The GOP is never going to be libertarian because of that. And this reformation of the GOP has been happening for decades and decades. There was the Goldwater Revolution that failed. The Reagan Revolution that failed, like Ron Paul said.
Well, the Reagan Revolution was successful. It was just a lie.
And this is how I put it. I don't ever want to say that Reagan was lying, because I do believe that he really believed what he said he wanted to do.
He was a liar.
What I believe was that he was willing to bend. Not bend. He was willing to completely roll over because he believed in the party more than his own ideology. And I believe that he said, well, if I don't bend and we don't get anything done, it's going to make the party look bad. So he rolled over on every single issue. Everything that made Reagan great, he rolled over on. Because he said one thing and did another, and I will say that, but the Reagan Revolution failed. The Ron Paul Revolution so far has failed. And I know people are going to say, well, it's not over yet. Well, guess what? You're not winning fast enough, and you're not winning anything. And then and I always hear this, take back. Listen, there is no take back of the GOP. The Republican Party is the party of Lincoln. Lincoln was the first Republican ever to win a high office after the fall of the Whigs. Obviously, he did not believe in states' rights. He shredded the Constitution. Basically, the Republican Party from the very start has said, if you dare defy the federal government, we're coming after you. So don't tell me you're taking it over, because from its inception, it didn't believe in libertarian ideals, not ever. But it's always been one way. And this is the bigger point that I want to make, why libertarians and Liberty Republicans can't work together, is because you've signed a loyalty oath to your party. Mm-hmm. So no matter how much we help you, that help can't come back. And the reason why it can't come back to libertarians is because you've signed a loyalty oath, and your little, takeover of the wreck will fail because they'll kick you out because of your loyalty oath. So you're not asking for us to work together. You're asking for us to work with you. But you'll abandon us.
First chance you get.
The first chance you get. And then tell me, well, I have to, or else we'll never influence the GOP because I'll be thrown out.
Mm-hmm.
So next time you sit there and say, how do we work together? Understand that those are the reasons why we can't. It'll never work. Can we work together on single issues here and there? Of course we can. You have to once you get out of the I'm influencing the GOP mind frame and want to work on an issue, great, let's work together. But on a whole, we can't work together.
Yeah.
It's not going to work.
Yeah, simply put, they are trying to change a political party. We are trying to change a political paradigm.
Mm-hmm.
They are trying to save a political party. We are trying to save the country.
Right.
And that's the difference. We don't give a damn whether the GOP falls or not. I don't care. They can go the way of the Whigs. They can go the way of the Federalists. It doesn't matter to me. Right. As long as the country survives, that's what matters. As long as freedom survives, that's what matters.
And I'll say that about my own party.
Oh, yeah.
If my own party ceases, and we see the demise of the libertarians, but we see freedom and liberty win over in the country, I don't care. That's fine. So we're not libertarians. I have freedom. I have liberty. That's my goal.
Yeah. Well put, both of you. Well put. I love it. I had to sit back and just listen to this one. Well, as I'm posting Ron Paul's resignation letter on 787network.com, and as I'm about to hootsuite it out on every page, because I just wanted to make sure that people... Again, I think you have to. One of the things, and I could be as much as at fault for this as anybody could be. I think we forget things that were said in the past, and we don't go back to them enough. One of the great things about 1787network.com is that I have continually been able to go back and use it as a reference source because of the articles that we've posted, because some of the articles that we've written. I mean, we've written some damn good stuff.
Yeah.
And I know that the thing is that the creative process for me when it comes to writing an article is not like most people. basically, I write the idea, overall concept, like a fifth grader, and Danielle makes me sound smart.
And then I kind of go in there. Now, our collective creative process ends up with screaming, tears, hitting tables with our fists, and then some great piece of writing.
Yeah.
It has to happen that way. It has to. You have to have the passion to fuel the fight to actually get there.
And that is definitely, like, the whole house disappears. Like, everybody goes into their rooms, and it's like, because we're writing, you know? And it's like screaming, and you're not understanding. You're answering a different question that I'm asking. And then, but why are you yelling at me? You know? And then all this, and we're screaming, and then I'm crying, and then we're screaming again, and then I'm banging my fist on the table. And then all of a sudden, it's like, we're done, and we're like, oh, wow, that's great.
Yeah. That was awesome. Yeah, I can't even tell you how many times that the article at the end when it was done, I was like, oh, that's awesome.
It's almost
book, and the book was, think about that. We wrote a book like that.
The book was 8 months of that.
Well, yeah. What I was about to say, it's almost like giving birth to a child. There's a lot of screaming, a lot of I hate you, I can't believe you did this to me, and then finally once it's all over, it's like, oh, look at this beautiful thing we created.
Yeah, that is our process.
Yeah. I mean, it really is weird to say it that way. And the funny part about it is, at least in my opinion, like I watched, you ever watch like VH1 Behind the Music?
Oh, I love that show.
Did you ever watch the one they did on Fleetwood Mac?
I saw like part of that. I never got to see the whole thing.
They talked about the creative process that they used in the show.
I actually did see that part of it.
And
I know what you're
do you remember what they were talking about there? Is that they really explained it as it was a bunch of yelling and screaming and all this other stuff. And the product came out that was great. You know what I mean? At that point, it was a good product that came out that ended it. So I kind of equate that process
to what we do.
To what we do.
And it is, if anyone were to ever be around us while we're trying to write something, and especially when we were writing the book, people would swear that we hated each other.
Yeah. Well, people think I hate Adrian right now, which I think is kind of funny. There's actually a rumor going around that me and Adrian are on the outs.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome.
I love it. That's why he's not on the show anymore.
No.
That is
what's been said.
You know what happened is that Alex was going to a lot of the first events, and then he stopped going. And in all honesty, he stopped going because if both of us are gone all the time, I mean, that's just a lot of pressure on the house with everyone being gone. So, you know,
we got to be able to split up sometimes.
We have to. And, you know, there's a lot of times where there's 2 events going on at the same time, so we'll have to split up. And then sometimes we're gone so much that there are sometimes, and a lot of times where I'm like, you know, where we kind of talk about it and I'm like, you know, stay home, spend some time with your family, and I'll cover this. But when there's an event where I know I need his help, I'll be like, listen, I need you at this one. And then he'll be at that one. But so it hasn't been any, but people have seen that and see me with Alex when he travels, me with Adrian when he travels, but the 3 of us not together, and then Adrian left the show. And they've looked at that as like this feud between the 2 of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It actually is kind of funny though. I mean, I will say it does have some humor to it. But what were we talking about?
Well, I was saying our creative process.
Oh,
Most
the
people
creative
would think that
process.
we do hate each other.
Yeah. It is. It's not, and it ain't easy.
No. There are times in our creative process where we feel like we hate each other.
I mean, and it's weird. It's not. I don't think it's. But I think it is actually a little bit more normal than
we think it is.
Yeah, but it's still one of those things that you're just like, you know, how do you get things done that way? Like, how the hell does that work?
Whenever he says, "I have an idea for an article," and I'm like, "Ugh, no. I don't know if I've drunk enough water to cry this much."
You're gonna dehydrate me.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go with that one.
Right? Sometimes I kind of look at you like, really?
You got an article? Oh, come on.
Please, no.
My throat's a little scratchy already. I kind of got a cold. Like, you really want to start screaming at each other today?
Yeah, exactly. So I just, and again, when I read this last night, for some reason it popped up on the screen. Somebody had posted it on Facebook, and I went back and reread it, and I'm just like, he's talking about 88, but he's talking about now.
Yeah.
because all of the stuff he's talking about is only like it's only gotten way worse since that time frame.
Yeah.
It's funny because, like you said, you wouldn't call Reagan a liar. I have no problem with calling Reagan out. I despise Reagan. I think he's worse than Obama myself.
But see, and I won't, and maybe this is, and part of it is just my own faith, and part of it is just my own wanting to always see the best in people. I may not, listen, I will cut someone off and just never speak to someone again over something kind of small. And when I do that, I will never, you will never be back to where I'll speak to you. I'm known to be very cold, but I also, as much as I don't maybe not find a reason to want to talk to you, I still always try to see the best in people, so I won't ever talk about someone's intentions, especially someone who I don't know. I can't say what his intentions were. None of us can. Only he knows.
I don't know what his intentions were, but I know the facts, and I know what he did and what he said, and he very commonly told lies, very common. He would tell anecdotes, stories of things that he did that he didn't actually do. Right. He made a shit ton of promises on the campaign trail that he never followed through with. I think the best thing you can say about him was he was a figurehead. He had zero control over his administration. He was just the face of the administration, and the people in the back were actually running the show. That's the best case scenario.
And that could be it.
Worst case scenario, he knew all this. He knew he was lying. He was complicit in all of it and continued to lie. And he should probably have been in jail instead of going, hey, getting up in front of the American people, go, sorry, I didn't know what was going on in my own administration. I apologize. Yeah. And everybody gave him a pass. I mean, he got up there on the campaign trail, said he was going to end the Department of Education. Not only did he not end it, he expanded it and then made it a cabinet level position.
Right.
That is not ending the Department of Education.
Oh, no, I understand.
And that's the difference. That's why I say he's worse than Obama. Obama came out and said, we need to do something about health care. I've got some ideas. We've got people working on it. Now we get Obamacare. He did not lie. He said he was going to do it, and he did it. Reagan, on the other hand, said he was going to do it and didn't. He didn't make good on hardly any of his campaign promises.
I think that is what people misunderstand with libertarians, why we're so hard on Republicans and not Democrats.
Right.
Is because Obama said he was going to take over the healthcare system. He said he was going to make it huge. I mean, he said all the things Obamacare is, he told us from the beginning he was going to do.
Yeah.
But now someone like Reagan said, I'm going to cut this and cut that and cut this and cut that, and he grew everything. So I'm harder on Republicans because you don't do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah. They're liars and swindlers. They look out for themselves and their friends. All they care about is their own wallets and their own protection and their own power. I have zero trust for Republicans. I will never vote for them. I will never trust a word they tell me. And if you want to go and build that party and save that party, good luck. You will not get my help. You will never have me on your side.
Yeah.
I may work, like you were saying, I may work with you on individual issues,
right.
But will I support your party? Hell no.
Never.
Will I vote for people just because they're a part of your party? No, as a matter of fact, I'm probably not going to vote for them just because they're a part of your party.
And this is what people misunderstand about some libertarians. Like someone like me, I look at the social issues more important than the economic issues. Mm-hmm. So if someone is an extreme social conservative, if they want to be involved in everybody's bedroom activities and want to run your life, I look at that as worse than something like a healthcare system. I do. Mm-hmm. I really do, because I look at a healthcare system that is something that we can dismantle. It'll collapse on its own weight, and then we can take care of it then. But you wanting to be a part of anyone's bedroom is reprehensible, and we can't get rid of that.
Exactly.
So I will vote, and and people say, well, you're voting for this or you're voting for that. No, I will support someone and actively work against a social conservative. If you want to be involved in people's private activities, I will work against you, even with someone whose policies I don't agree with, because I feel like the math of their bad policies will force us to have to fix them.
Exactly. Like we were saying earlier, the economy is organic. You have to deal with the reality of the economy no matter what you believe.
Yeah.
The economy is what it is. We are where we are. You can't change that. You can believe whatever you want, but you still have to deal with the reality.
Yeah.
On the social issues, exactly like you said. You ban blowjobs. You can't get that off the books easily.
There there's no math or collapse of that system that's going to make you relook at it.
Yeah.
And that's the difference is, listen, I think these social programs are horrendous. I don't agree with any of them. I don't agree with the raising. I don't agree with the welfare state at all. I don't agree with these things, but I feel like the system will collapse on its own and we will have to address the issue. The American people will be forced to face it and forced to fix it at some point. It may be down the road, but you'll be forced to fix it. But if you want to be involved in my private activities of my private life, there is no system there that's going to collapse or change that's going to make us relook at that policy. And for that reason alone, I will oppose a social conservative every time.
Yeah. And the other thing is this, and this is the part that people just have to understand. And again, even if I was on the other side of the equation, I'd have to come to the same understanding. Let's say I was we all had worked at the GOP. Let's say I was one of those people, right? Party affiliation is always going to be a problem if that's your focus. If that's not your focus, and instead you focus on influencing the vote, then you are able to come together. And you may not always agree on all of the candidates. That's true. You may not always agree on all the candidates. But you have a much better opportunity if your excuse for not agreeing with that candidate is that, well, I'm going to break my loyalty oath. Because you've chosen to have a loyalty oath, which means you've chosen to be more loyal to a party than the Constitution.
Or freedom.
Or freedom, for that matter. And I think that's ultimately my problem is that I look at what you're doing on that side, and if that's your mentality, not everybody, but if that's your mentality, that I'm only going to work to get Republicans elected, then you're just a straight hypocrite. And that you'd have more loyalty. You'd rather stand with Santorum and Newt Gingrich and John McCain and Lindsey Graham and Romney. You'd rather stand with them than stand with me. You've made the choice to not have unity. You've made that decision actively. It's not my decision because I would find a way nonpartisan to work with you. But that's not enough because you're not willing to work with me on the stuff that I want to work on. You're only expecting me to work on the stuff that you want to work on. I mean, look at 2012. How many Republicans did we actually try to help in 2012 win their primaries?
I think 9.
Yeah, 9. 9. Locally, 9. The people now that hate my guts were out there then. When those 9 lost, or when 8 of those 9 lost, and we were helping other libertarian candidates, they were nowhere to be found. So don't come back to me now and talk about unity. Don't come back to me now and call me the bad guy. Because I'm not the bad guy. I might be an asshole. I might be a shithead. I might be a red ass. I might be not very nice in how I put things, but I ain't lying. I was willing to work with you. I was willing to do things like this. You weren't willing to do things. And if you're going to hide like a coward, and I'm not parsing words here. You're a coward if you hide behind a loyalty oath. A coward. And you're not serious about defending this country or restoring the Constitution. You're just not serious about it. Don't expect me to be understanding of that or to just let it go. Because I'm not going to let it go. Not only am I not going to let it go, I'm going to turn a little bit of my fire onto you. Because you're the one that preaches one thing of unity and then does the exact opposite and tries to demonize me because for some reason I have a problem with it. Get this through your thick skull. You either want unity or you don't. If you keep preaching this GOP shit, then that's exactly what you're not going to have is unity. If you're willing to start looking at it the correct way because your plan in the RNC isn't working anyway, and you really actually want to try to fix this country, because I hear it all the time, well, why don't you guys just work together? It ain't my fault. I'm trying to do the right stuff. If you don't want to do the right stuff, nothing I can do about that. But don't be the one that thinks well, I'm the nice guy claiming unity, and Alex is the asshole. You know what? I might be the asshole, but I ain't wrong. I ain't wrong.
Yeah.
And that's my rant.
No, and I definitely, we've put our party affiliation aside to help someone from a different party, but we don't get someone else to put their party affiliation aside to help our party. And so it does go very one way.
Mm-hmm.
And, and I've said it, and we say it all the time. I don't care what letter comes after their name if they're for freedom.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, we just said it, both of us just said it a few minutes ago. I don't care if the Libertarian Party has to go away as long as freedom and liberty is what we get, and we stop the tyranny.
And the problem is the labels that we choose to put on ourselves and the collectives that we choose to associate with. And in the discussion in the second hour, where you were like, well, I'm a Christian, but I don't like how I'm portrayed because of other people who call themselves Christians. There are people who are part of the Republican Party, Liberty Republicans. Hey, I'm a Republican. I've always been a Republican, but I don't necessarily agree with all the Republicans. Well, here's the thing. You are free. You can choose your association. You can believe what you want. You can feel how you want to feel. And you don't have to be a part of the label and the group. Right. You can be someone who believes in Jesus, someone who believes in God. You don't have to associate with Christians or the church. Right. The person that I consider to be the best example of a Christian in my life, the person that walks it and talks it, one of the things he says is, I love God, I hate the church. And the same thing goes with politics. You can be conservative. You can agree with what Republicans say. You don't have to be a part of the party. You don't have to sign a loyalty oath. So when you do these things and then you get upset about, well, people think I'm this because I'm associated with this group, that's your choice. You chose to associate with that group. You chose to put that label on yourself, which now gives you the blanket responsibility of holding on your shoulders everything that group has done. And if you don't like it, pull yourself out of that group. Right. Remove the label from yourself. You can't change the connotation that people have over years of this group building itself and what it has done. You can change your own actions and your own label and what you're going to do and demand that you be recognized as an individual and not as part of the collective.
Yeah.
Let me mention something else here. I always think it's funny to mention these things because this guy's such a piece of trash, it's not even funny. I don't know if you guys have heard this before, but Alec Baldwin, Alec Baldwin.
I have no idea who he is.
You know what's funny is, I love the movie Hunt for Red October. I thought that was a great movie.
I loved him in Beetlejuice. That's one of my all-time favorite movies.
He was all right in Beetlejuice. He was all right. And he's done some movies where I actually liked him as an actor. As a person, though, I won't even watch Alec Baldwin movies anymore because of what a piece of shit this guy is.
He's a disgusting human being.
He really is a disgusting human being. Alec Baldwin would be the guy that I would like to beat the crap out of, and I would be okay with going to jail for it. I'd like for him to swing on me first.
You want to violate the NAP all over him?
No, I want to. Honestly, what I would do to Alec Baldwin would be what I would do to a lot of people. I will yell at you until you will hit me, and then after we do that, then we're good. Then I don't.
I don't think it would take much yelling with Alec Baldwin.
No, it wouldn't take much at all. But basically, and he called libertarians. That's funny. Hold on, I'll read it. It's from Reason. The latest rampage of rageaholic and ultra-talented, by the way, actor Alec Baldwin is on display at TMC.com. Click above to watch. After winning the case against his stalker, Baldwin saw fit to scream at and threaten a shutterbug on the streets of New York. During an episode, Baldwin referred to a photographer as a cocksucking FAG, an insult that calls to mind a previous incident which the 30 Rock alum and current MSNBC host threatened to footfuck a toxic little queen and a toxic little bitch who has libeled his wife. By the way, your wife's a whore and a bitch and a slut. So why don't you do something there, tough guy? Why don't you come down, I'll show you what stand your ground means. While giving no quarter to what he sees as invasive photographers, Baldwin has checked in with advisor and concludes, Rich Ferrero from GLAAD informs me that cocksucker is an anti-gay epithet, in which case I apologize and will retire it from my vocabulary.
No, it's an adjective.
This tweet came hours after Baldwin had tweeted, anti-gay slurs are wrong. They not only offend, but threaten hard-fought tolerances of LGBT rights. Which, here's the thing, Baldwin didn't believe in any of your crap, by the way. And not long after Baldwin had tweeted and duly deleted his slang on libertarian trash who defend gays, he says, when did all this Breitbart libertarian trash become the defender of gay rights? Is what he said.
Wait, when did Breitbart become libertarian?
One he did not. But here's the thing. the funny part is, he's actually talking about somebody who was from Reason Magazine. Now, Reason Magazine has been for, equality in all people since the magazine's inception in the 60s. I mean, it's been around for a long time. Matter of fact, the article talks about it. But the funny part is that Baldwin is such a freaking idiot and a moron that he's like, libertarian trash. I got your libertarian trash, you motherfucker. I got you. I understand what you're saying, Alec. You want to call people trash? Again, I don't live in New York, so it really kind of sucks. But I would love to go to New York because you will see this. You could see this guy on the street. Like, you could just see him on the street. And honestly, I'd like to just start being a camera guy, taking pictures of him. And the second he comes up to try to take my camera, he's infringing my rights, and you beat the holy shit out of him.
Well, Mr. Liberal Trash, the Libertarian Party has had gay rights as part of its documents since 1973. The Democrat Party added it 2 years ago. Fuck off, cocksucker.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait a minute.
Exactly. And I don't think that's an anti-gay slur.
I think that, for him to say, when did all of a sudden they become for gay rights? Well, we've been for all rights of all people the whole time.
Yeah.
It's not just gay people. It's all people.
Yeah. And this is the problem with actors. Alec Baldwin is a moron. Alec Baldwin can read a teleprompter or read a script and act and fake in a certain way. That's his talent in life. And God bless him for his talent. If that's his talent, you have that talent all day long. Like I said, you've made good movies. You have no idea what you're talking about politically. Absolutely no idea what you're talking about politically. And most of the other actors are the same thing. You people are political morons. You people have, you and Matt Damon and Oprah and all of you, Tom Cruise and all these people, you have no idea what's going, you have no idea how you're paid, which is the funny part. You think that they give you the money because you're that good. The movies make the money that gets you paid. The movies do that. Now, I know that your booking agent or your agent is the one that really deals with that, and you're too much of a moron to do your own contracts. Like, I get you there, but here's the thing. Why don't you just shut up and quit talking? Because every time you talk, it just shows what a dumbass you are. Like, guys like Alec Baldwin, when he's dead, this world will be a better place. When Oprah's gone, this world will be a better place. When Tom Cruise is 6 feet under, this world will be a better place. Because these stupid people won't be able to talk anymore because they'll be dead. Now, again, I'm not going to be the one that kills them because, again, I believe in the nap and I shouldn't initiate force and all that stuff. Even though I would argue that Alec Baldwin has already initiated force on libertarians. But... And again, he goes, well, I talked to Rich Ferraro from GLAAD, and he informs me that that's an anti-gay slur, so I shouldn't say it anymore. Like, you didn't know that anyway? Like, yeah. And you do hate gay people, man. Like, here's the thing, Alec. I understand that you do that to fit in with your other people that you hang out with or whoever you associate with, you ignorant bastard. But we know how you really feel. You've let it out. And that's cool if that's what you want to be, but just don't claim you're for equality because you're really not for equality. So,
because you would love to have people of a different political ideology under you and under your control and have less rights than you, as apparent by what you say.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You're not for equality and equal rights. You want your shit to be on top. You want to be in control and screw everybody else.
Yeah. And the thing is, you call libertarians trash, even though they'll be the first ones to say that technically you're allowed to say whatever you want to say. We wouldn't say that you're allowed or not allowed to say those things. Now, you're going to get people that don't like what you have to say, and that's perfectly fine. But here's the thing. I'm not the policies that I promote are trying to free you to do what you want. And would make sure that if you're a good actor and then you want to make a bunch of money, that you'd be able to do that. So I'm not trying to take your money, even though you're trying to take my money.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I just think it goes when I said, we're for the rights of all people. We're even for his right to say those horrible things.
Yeah. Yeah, just like I'm right to go over there and berate him until he punches me in the face.
But
as long as he's on a public street.
When were we for gay rights? Always. We were for all rights, even your right to be a complete jackass.
We were for individual rights.
Yeah,
I just it's one of those things that's just you watch it and you're just,
And don't get me wrong, we report on it.
The thing is, these celebrities, whether they're actors or whatever, they're divorced from reality.
Yes.
It's the same as the politicians. They're divorced from reality. They don't have a clear understanding of how the real world works,
Right.
how everyday people think and act and behave.
Normal people.
Yeah, they're in their ivory towers associating with their the people on top, essentially, living in a completely different world than we do. You know,
Yeah.
they don't have the same kind of stresses to deal with that we do. They don't live in the same kind of world. Not to say that they never did, but the thing is, there are some celebrities who achieve fame and get rich and wealthy, and they maintain some level-headedness.
Yes.
They remember where they came from, and they remember that it's not all about them. These other actors like Alec Baldwin, the other part of it is you're divorced from reality and you are infatuated by your own ego.
Yeah.
It is yourself and your ego that you are working for, not other people. You are doing this to stroke your own ego. You are doing this to make yourself look good and potentially give you better press, not because you want equality or you want a better life for anybody. So don't try and convince me otherwise.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's why that's when like they had Mark Wahlberg was.
That's what I was going to
yeah,
bring up.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Wahlberg was on a stage talking about the new movie that they have, Lone Survivor, and he's an actor in it, and he basically, without mentioning Tom Cruise's name, mentioned the stuff that Tom Cruise said, because he said, basically his acting is like going to Afghanistan.
It's
in the
like,
military.
being a soldier in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Which he tried to back it off now and say it wasn't that, but it totally was that. And Wahlberg lost his mind.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, was like
Just like we did.
Yeah,
Cursing.
went Boston on him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He really did go Boston. It was funny. But it's guys like Mark Wahlberg that are still grounded in reality and not one of these guys. And Mark Wahlberg gets paid a lot of money to do movies, and
Absolutely.
he freely admits it. And he's almost embarrassed of it, I think. Which I don't think he should be embarrassed of it. I think he's a pretty decent actor anyway, though. I mean, he's always going to be Marky Mark, but you're never going to lose that one guy. I mean, look, you ran around in your underwear for years. Hey, and that got you where you needed to go. Cool, good on you. You made Entourage because of that crap.
And Entourage was a big joke on his life.
I love that show, though. Entourage was a great show. I totally loved Entourage.
He made that show based on, because he found that this whole perception of having all these people around and stuff to be such a big joke,
Right.
that he made that show, because he's like, this is just hysterical.
Yeah. Which is awesome. Which is really awesome, by the way. But at any rate. All right, that's the show, guys. The website, 1787network.com. If you would like to, you can go there. Again, you can see the YouTube channel up there. You can order the Neighborhood Project. And honestly, if you like the show, to be honest with you, make a donation to the show. Look, it costs us money every week to do the show. Please make a donation to the show. You can actually click on the donate button. It's actually getting a little bit further down.
It's getting
by the way.
further down. Like, we keep
It's like
adding
halfway
stuff.
down.
Yeah.
And also do business with our sponsors, man. Refresh Telecom, Refresh Computers, Dead End Firearms. I know we don't talk enough about Dead End Firearms, but do business with the people that do business with us.
Or Pesa Law Offices, Row Insurance.
Yeah, Row
Yes.
Insurance, or Pass Law Offices. Liberty First Network, which is more of our stuff, but. Do business with the people that do business with us, or just straight give us money.
But the show costs money. If you like it and you enjoy what we do, it does cost us money, and we don't ask hardly that much for money to do it. So if you'd like to give us some, we'd appreciate it.
When was the last time you actually heard us begging for money on the air? It doesn't really happen that often.
Yeah,
We try to keep it to a minimum.
and even like $5 a month, man. If you just did $5 a month and set it up, reoccurring, that's awesome to be able to do too.
Yeah.
So just make a donation to the show if you like the show. And hopefully everybody does that. But we'll be back next week. We will not be on Wednesday. We're not going to be on Wednesday.
No Wednesday show.
We're going to do the Eagles concert, and so we're not going to be able to do the show on Wednesday. But we'll be back next Friday. Maybe we'll do something impromptu during the week. I don't know. I don't think so, though. I'll have to talk Greg into coming back up to the studio, but that's not going to be easy to do.
We'll see.
And we have,
I might be able to bribe him with something.
we have stuff all week.
Yeah. Oh, we do, don't we?
Yeah, all week.
Ah, crap sandwich. All right, guys. Hey, a good show. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it, and we'll tune in next week. You're listening to Liberty Underground.
With the rifle in his his hand, don't be mistaken.